All right, we're going live.
Don't challenge me.
I think I've got everything ready. I hope so. Oh, well, chat will soon let me know. Chat loves letting me know when things are broken at the start of stream. I actually can't get away. Oh wait, I don't have music. Ah, it's too loud. It's too loud. It brushed my ear. I'm sorry, chat. Actually, no, you deserve it. I don't care.
We're on time.
We're on time. We're
No,
here.
1 minute past. 1 minute past. You fucked it.
Shut up.
Nah,
Okay.
my-
False. Introduce yourself. Do your newscasty thing.
Hey
Professionalism.
everybody, my name is False ID. I talk about cool VTubers, of which I am here with 3 of them. How you guys doing?
We're
Oh, is there
good.
someone else in the
Yeah,
call?
YouTuber now.
Oh wow.
God.
Thanks, Tao. I appreciate. Wait, I just assumed you were dissing me. We're good. I love. Wait, I just realized. I immediately like flipped roles with False there. He went into newscaster voice, and I was just like, "Yes, False, I'm doing good. This is your channel now. Conduct the conversation." But no,
yeah,
yes.
no, we
it would be an improvement.
100%. If you're on a YouTube video, even with your VR chat avatar, you're suddenly a VTuber. That's the way
Yeah,
it works now.
we've been telling
It's
that
worked
to
that way for a
Dashie.
long time, actually. I think, yeah, but I
Worked
don't
for
know.
Billion.
I don't know. I mean, you know, there's actually still a lot of VR chat like streamers that don't consider themselves VTubers, and it's
Yeah,
surprising to me.
I think Dashie kind of didn't consider herself a V. I don't know if she does now, but before we started, she definitely didn't.
For the millionth time, I am a literal VTuber because I have VTubing model, but I know nothing of anything, including you, False, which I apologize, but I'm not sorry because this is the first time we met. I personally have never heard because I was supposed to have this teacher or a couple of them. These 2 guys up here, they ain't teach me shit. Okay.
Yeah, but
So,
I mean,
nice to
there
meet you.
isn't like some crazy like organization that immediately like says you are now VTuber, right? Like, there's nothing
Well,
like that.
will you
That
tell
is-
them, please?
The VTuber Validation Council.
the,
Yeah.
the secret cabal of VTubers. There's
Cabal?
Like one
Like
from
a
each
handshake.
agency. Yeah.
Like, you don't
Got
get to
jackets.
be a VTuber until you, you know, do like a subathon and
You sacrifice your
something
firstborn.
Like that.
Start a drama on Twitter. You gotta go through the whole checklist, and then you finally
Get cancelled
qualify.
at least once.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, my favorite thing is just calling everyone a VTuber, even if they're just using an image on screen because they don't show themselves. I'm like, yeah, you're a VTuber. It's just because it's funny. It's funny to see people like get like people either roll with it or they get very defensive about it, and it's kind of funny either way.
Speaking of being defensive, I'm about to be defensive because somebody
Oh,
out
God.
there said I'm not loud enough. He has a habit of not making me heard. He doesn't like my voice. So
There's not. It's hard on my end. Audio issues, Dashie.
Raise me up.
Apparently, I'm
Because
quiet too,
people
according to Soul.
Can't fucking hear me.
I guess I'm just too loud. Hang on, give me a second.
Scuff streamer.
No. But thank you guys. Seriously, how's everybody's audio? Because that is like not even a pet peeve. It's just rude.
It's not like I can hear the audio. All right.
Rude.
Let me turn myself down. I'll turn you guys up.
False, I do apologize for the scuff
Don't
that you bring
apologize
to
to
the
False.
table.
This is you
Yeah.
guys. Nobody
Why
complained about
apologize?
False's
What
audio.
the fuck?
False, you sound great.
It's true, I do.
Okay. I love the confidence. Let me.
So happy Thanksgiving to people that are not jerks like these 2 that like yelled at me after I said something about Thanksgiving. Not False. False was like, "Hey, happy Thanksgiving. Oh, you have food coma, blah blah blah." However, these Europeans above us here, like they were like really rude. I get that I'm American and I know nothing and about freedom units, freedom eagles, but don't yell at me.
That is
about
the language of America.
Yeah,
Mhm.
literally.
False, how's
Something from
your
the feet.
Thanksgiving been, man? Like
It's good. I'm just trying to stay out of a food coma right now. I,
he's a little EP.
ooh, yeah, I loved it because it was like you got with me on Sunday and
Mm.
asked if it would be cool to meet up on Thursday, and I actually said yes because I was like, I know I'm not making an episode today.
Yeah,
so-
'cause well, I
was
just
like,
Did you
yeah.
forget it was Thanksgiving?
Well,
too,
yeah,
like
okay.
the rest of us.
yes, because we don't celebrate Thanksgiving here, so it just didn't occur to me
Well, I
until I
do, and I
DM'd False, and he was like, "Yeah, that's Thanksgiving. That's fine."
It
It's-
hit
I
me
like that it's
yesterday.
known as the fun day that comes before the funner day for everyone in the world where everything's cheap.
Yes.
Black Friday?
That's what I
Okay,
thought.
Is Black
But
Friday
notice it's
tomorrow?
been like black like November now. It's no longer Black Friday. They bring it up closer and closer now.
Yeah,
They
I
go,
think I
"Oh,
remember seeing it was like Black Weekend or
Huge
something,
sale."
and then they're like, "Eh, let's
Yeah.
just do the whole month."
And then
It's
you got Cyber
annoying.
Monday, and then it's like, oh, another week of sales. Woo!
It's
We.
false film. Okay, let me.
By the way, everyone, we have with Uwu Market a buy one get 50% off starting tomorrow on Black Friday.
God, he's
running all the
shilling.
way through Cyber Monday.
Oh god,
Listen, we have nothing
Uh,
to show, so actually go off, King.
not yet.
Running until 11:59 a.m. Central Time on Tuesday. So you guys got some time to load up on False ID merch.
Yeah, go do it, you fucks.
Okay.
Mhm. We don't-
If we're plugging, go listen. We've got a Spotify. All the episodes are on Spotify. Go use it, so please, please, so I don't feel like I'm wasting my time.
Oh my god, yeah. Tao, to be fair, Tao does all the stuff for the podcast. I just show up, man. Tao gets most of the guests. Tao does the Spotify and the Twitter. I'm just here. I'm just like, I appear on the day like an hour before, and I'm
How'd
like...
this all start? Like, how'd you guys,
So,
how'd you know each other? What's
well,
up?
I think I mentioned on stream a couple of times that I was like, man, I'd kind of like to have a podcast to talk about, like
No, no, no.
VTubing or... Well,
Okay,
fine.
can-
You tell...
my one
Fine,
interjection-
fine. Steal my... No,
my
go.
one interjection.
Go, it's
His
fine.
words were, every white boy on the internet has a podcast.
Yeah, that's true.
And then I
Yeah,
was
they're
like,
owed one.
hey.
That was literally my words, I think, yeah.
You hit a certain age and with a certain color of skin, it's all of a sudden like, I am owed a podcast.
Yeah. It's a rite of passage.
My birthright.
Some people get Corvettes. Other people get podcasts for what? I didn't know you were a midlife crisis. That's awesome.
Yeah, well, man. Chat is still complaining about audio. I'm struggling. All right, Tao, you can tell
All
it,
right,
and
then.
I'll keep working on audio. You tell it how it happened. Go. Story
Okay,
time.
basically he was like, oh, every white person on the internet, white boy on the internet has a podcast, but I don't. So I was like, hey, do you want to start a
Ooh.
podcast? I'll set everything up. And then he turned up for the first one. And I was like, hey, Dash, do you want to be, you're a VTuber? And she was like, no, I'm not. And then I was like, yeah, you are. And then she was like, no, I'm not. And I was like, shut up, get on this podcast about VTubers. She was
You
like, but I
wish
don't
you
know
bossed
nothing.
me around like that. You wish. You
Okay, I
bossed me
embellished
around like that.
slightly. I embellished
Look, I'm letting you
slightly,
have it
but-
because you work hard. You tell however you want, baby. Okay, just let
Okay,
me
can I interject? Falter just called me the off-Kai audio guy, and I just
love
want to
it,
say
saw
that. I just want to say that I'm very
You didn't
offended
mention
by
it,
that.
I was going to.
That is
yeah.
such a fucked up thing to say, Falter. How
It's actually
dare
a
you?
deep cut, but everyone just knows what a burn it is.
Dashie doesn't.
Great.
She doesn't know.
No, I don't.
I can
I'm just being
VTuber
polite.
convention or off-Kai a while back. I think it was during FaZe's concert, wasn't it?
It was during the big concert.
Yeah.
So they had everybody, even including Iron Mouse at the end. And they made Mouse like wait this entire time. It's like an hour and a half or something. She's just like waiting. She's streaming the entire time too. Could have swore
Okay.
this was going on during her subathon, but I could be wrong about that.
I think it was, yeah.
And so you can just see her frustration on stream as they are just messing up and delaying and keeping her around. And the entire time, everyone that's trying to watch is having a really hard time listening
that's
to
why
it on
Volta is
stream.
the
Now,
outcome.
apparently at the venue, it sounded fine. So good job,
Okay.
sound guy, on that. Like, but actually on stream, it was up, it was down. It was going up and down randomly at points. It was like
Oof.
comically
And this is all
bad.
one person fault? One person's fault?
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
That-
Why
I
not?
w-
Why not? Let's
Okay,
just throw it
yeah.
to one person. Yeah.
Well, okay. To be fair, I think when I was covering it, I said that if it is one person's fault, it's multiple people's fault because it shouldn't get to this point. They
At
should
an
have.
event like that, it was probably the sound guy and the
Yeah.
producer.
But the problem was that the
Okay.
audio was actually fine for the most part, but he just kept fucking with it, and everyone,
Yeah,
everyone,
Yeah,
in
it would
ch-
keep-
everyone in chat was just like, just leave, just go away, just stop touching shit. But he kept like fucking with it. It was,
Yeah.
Okay.
Off-Kai Expo, of course, is like supposed to be the VTuber
Mhm.
convention. It's like the convention made for VTubers. Kind of the first year it was a little bit of that, but the second year especially it was that, and it just was. There was just
It had
so
no
many
excuse,
problems.
Especially being the second year.
That literally we did an entire episode right after, and we had Off-Kai in our chat, like trying to. Just I
Explain
don't know. I wouldn't say
themselves.
smooth things over, but yeah, maybe explain themselves a little bit. Yeah.
Okay.
yeah, it's
All right. No wonder you were like, no, I'm not.
because folks, you've been to a few conventions, right?
I've been to 2 as a VTuber.
Didn't
yeah.
you? Didn't you have a panel at Off-Kai as well, if I remember correctly? Was it at Off-Kai? Or was that another one?
So this year we kicked it off with Anime Los Angeles, which is coming up again here really soon at the beginning of January, and that was out in Los Angeles.
Okay, good
So
job. I wasn't sure.
I
Thanks.
never would have guessed.
it was a
Incredible.
whole thing. We had a lot of VTubers out there. We were all invited by a particular group, and so we flew out there, and we'll probably have some more stories to talk about, I think, in years to come on that one. But so that was like an in-person thing where I was actually there. And then later in April, we had WeebCon. And with WeebCon, they have Uwu Market, which is running this huge Uwu Land piece with everybody they do merchandise for. And so they were getting everybody flying out there too. I wasn't really interested in that again. I was like, look, I'm a virtual YouTuber. We can do this virtually. So I just did that as a an online thing for my piece. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
But they're doing a huge Uwu Land thing again next year at WeebCon. So big things. And then they also announced I think a V4 Mirai concert at Anime Los Angeles coming up in January.
Ooh.
So way more
Yeah.
YouTuber representation at both of them.
It's one of those things about like covering VTubers and stuff that I don't keep track of as much because I've never been to one. I think it is definitely on like my VTuber bucket list, I guess, before I never like graduate for some drama or another.
Is that low key? Hey, people out there, invite me. Whoever.
No.
invites
It's not to be
people.
invited
It's
to
me,
one.
Penumbral.
To go.
Okay.
The thing is though, I don't think I actually enjoy convention, but I feel like I want to go just to vibe to see what it's like.
You have to. You have.
Have you been to
like,
any convention before?
No.
Like any like
They're not really my things,
dude.
like to go out in a bunch of people and in a crowd, but I'd like to experience one, at least a VTuber one, right?
To be fair, with you, I think if you got invited to one, then you're most likely going to be invited to the VIP areas where you can just go and. Well, no. I don't mean like to
Very
be
important.
fucking be weird
Penumbral.
about it. But like, if you need a timeout from just all the busyness and just all the fucking barrage of people, you can just go there, and it's just like.
How has your convention experience been, False, in terms like VTuber conventions wise? Like, just in
not to
general.
be too damning, but I don't have any intentions on going to any
Okay.
more conventions
Oh.
myself.
I think you've said that
It
before.
is very much something that I think a lot of VTubers have embraced, but to me, it is more of an extrovert-introvert thing.
Mhm.
And I've noticed a lot of the VTubers that really enjoy going to these, enjoy being there in person with their friends, and going out and partying and having a good time beyond just the convention, right?
Yeah,
Like,
right.
It's more than just the convention. It's a lot more than that. Whereas I think in my mind, I'm like, very like mission oriented or something like that, and I just don't totally disconnect with it. Yeah.
Yeah,
guess-
and also
I
it
guess
makes
that's-
everyone sick.
Yeah.
We have like a week after every convention where every VTuber's like, sorry guys, I can't stream, I'm dying.
Oh, that is real. I've so many conventions I go to, I'm just like dead the week after. But as well, that's like the great thing about being like VTubers being at these sort of conventions. Is like, you don't have to go if you're like, if you can get sort of the everything set up. Just
Well, that's the trick, getting everything set up, because
Yeah,
I've
obviously.
not experienced a really smooth way to do that unless you actually have potentially someone there
Yeah.
on
Yeah,
site
right.
to get you set up.
I'm
These
s-
conventions are just not really equipped, and they don't quite understand VTubers still.
Right, yeah.
yeah.
So they have a lot to learn, and we don't want to be like too judgmental again. It's still a new thing for them. We get it, but it's really surprising how there's just zero setup. sometimes.
So that was a send an extrovert on your behalf, and I was literally about to make a good joke about I'm going to pay someone to impersonate me and go as me. I'm actually going to pay one of those like 7 feet tall basketball players to go as me and be like, hey guys, like, shut up, I'm no longer short.
But then I intercept and get him to wear a t-shirt that's like the lower half of your model, so
Wow,
it's size
rude.
accurate.
But yeah, the
Wait,
mouse thing.
hold on though. Real quick, was
Mm-hmm.
it you, Tal, that was telling me some big VTuber like paid someone to wear a tablet on their face, and then that was like as a cosplayer? Was it? Yeah,
that
tell me
was-
about that.
That was Project Melody. She had was it with Kaho? She had like a date with Kaho, I think it was,
Mm.
where she basically paid a guy in a suit to walk around in Tokyo with just Mel's face on a tablet,
God.
just like duct taped to his forehead. It was
It's like
a very
the
strange, surreal video.
you know the Iron Mouse bot where it was like. I know False probably saw that. It was so cool. It was like Iron Mouse and Connor walking through the convention with her on like a little robot with a screen. It was great.
Yeah, I mean, they've done that for a while now. I would say it was even all the way back from Anime Expo of last year, back in 2022, when they really started rolling out that. But it needed someone there, like, to just make sure that it was moving along just fine. This time around, it seemed like she could actually control it, which is just wild. So it would, like,
Yeah.
just autonomously just turn because she wanted to look at a booth or something like that, right? Like, and she
Seriously,
stopped.
so it's like an actual like
Yeah, it's like-
Yeah.
I mean, I could probably find a picture and just DM you it, but
yeah, please, like
Yeah, because I
That'd be
remember
awesome.
there was loads of videos of her just crashing into Connor
Yeah,
every time
it
he
was-
said anything rude to her.
it was hilarious.
great.
It was kind of like there's something like uncanny kind of about it as well. Like, do you remember when there was the award show and I can't remember which one it was. I can't remember if it was last year's Game Awards or what, but some VTubers were nominated and they just had like a tablet on the seat with like the VTuber model streamed in.
Oh.
It was so funny.
I think that was the streamies from last
It
year.
may have
wasn't
been, yeah.
So, well, this year we had, I think it's this year, we had, because we're at the end of the year, right? So we had the Streamer Awards back in March, and that may be what you're thinking of, because they had Mouse right there with Connor, and their tablets were right there. And then later in August, they had the Streamies, and that's the one where Gura actually had won. So that's the two big award shows
the
that
Gura.
involve some VTubers.
I think
yeah, go on.
I think it just comes back into that, like you said, False, of like these places just don't understand VTubers yet. Like it's getting there.
No,
but-
they were mixing up names.
Oh my
and,
God,
yeah.
it was pretty bad.
I mean, to be
yeah.
fair, the name thing is like, you should know that at the very
That
least.
was it was kind of funny.
like that's bare minimum.
But yeah, it's the same when like you see a VTuber nominated for an award and you're like, like you just kind of pick the VTuber with the most subscribers and try to give them the award.
It'll be
It's just
interesting
about
to
to
see what
ask that.
comes out of the VTuber Awards coming up that Fillian's going to be hosting here.
I think
So
yeah.
they have 30,000 nominations. They're pretty much giving
Sheesh.
themselves a week, and then they're going to open up voting here coming up on Monday, November 27th. So we'll see what that looks like, right? If it's just really popular folks, and if it's just really popular folks, then that's how the system works, right? You're nominating people, and their audiences came out and actually got them in, right?
Yeah.
So that's how that's going to work. They do have some still where it's like hidden gem. You have to have under 100
Yeah.
CCV. So that's maybe a little more up in the air as to what's going to happen there.
Well,
Yeah.
I was gonna. That's what, like I was gonna ask, because obviously I don't know anything about that stuff. And what exactly are the categories for these VTubers
Oh,
to
there's
win?
a lot.
Yeah, they have
Like-
25 categories in all. So, some of it's like Rising Star, who was, the VTuber that really burst out on the scene this year.
And it has to do with
others,
subscribers specifically.
well, the thing is they open up nominations for any VTuber. It could be agency, it could be indie, it could be
Okay.
of any language. And now we're gonna see how they handle it. We're gonna see how they, take these 30,000 nominations and try to coalesce it into, I don't know, voting for 4 or 5 per category.
Yeah.
And we'll see what comes out of that this coming Monday.
It's
On Monday. Okay.
the eternal
Interesting.
issue with award show is how do you make an award show that isn't just who has the bigger number wins, right?
Yeah.
And I don't quite like it's a hard thing to counter because there's some that are like you can't possibly have a pure like a actual measurement of like how good is a person at whatever, right? But it does feel like apart from like the Rising Star and the hidden gems, it's gonna be hard for VTubers that aren't just already multi-million subscriber channels to really have any sort of presence when you have channels with like 10 times their following shilling it on Twitter. But that's the eternal award show problem, isn't it?
It's interesting because I think a lot of VTubers were being very strategic and just directing their audience to like only 1 or 2 categories at the most
Yeah.
to get nominations in. Like,
Makes sense.
whether
Can
it was
Can you guys?
lewd tuber
Oh, do you want me to
or
link it?
whether it was some kind of game or most chaotic VTuber, something like that.
Yeah.
Okay, I was just about to ask, can you guys give me like
a
a handful of
I
categories? I know you said
link,
like around
I will
25.
link the website to you.
The website doesn't have the categories on it anymore.
Oh, does it not?
No, I just checked it.
Oh.
I think it was like general, like, you know, best VTuber, best world. There was like best ASMR streamer, best first-person shooter streamer.
And who, like anybody can vote?
Yeah,
Anybody can
you
vote.
could-
Anyone can be nominated. It's a very open. The nominations close and then voting opens in a few days, end of this week.
All right.
And then yeah. So yeah, where is it hanging?
And this is in an actual place. Like you have to go to this place, or can it be?
No.
like, virtual,
So
like you said?
I think
This will be all virtual.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
this particular
okay.
session will be
I can
all
read
virtual.
out the categories if you want. So
Oh yeah, go for it.
best music, best art VTuber, best FPS VTuber, best Minecraft VTuber, roleplay ASMR, just chatting, best tech VTuber, funniest VTuber, most chaotic, League of Their Own, hidden gem, rising star, Miss VTuber, which I think is like
Fashion.
yeah. Best VTuber org, rising VTuber org, VTuber Clipper, VTuber Parent of the Year, which I think is
Modeler,
yeah,
rigger,
not
modeler,
actual
yeah.
parents.
maybe illustrator.
Most dedicated fan base, best philanthropic event, best concert, best streamed event, stream game of the year, LoadTuber of the year, gamer of the year, and then VTuber of the year.
I
So
think
like
we've-
for the fan base, who gets the prize? That's not fair.
We've got the most dedicated.
Well, there's
fan
not
base. We're all
really-
dedicated to dunking on pen.
That's true. I don't think is there a prize? I don't think. I think it's just an award show. I don't think there's like a. I don't think you
No,
get
Who
I
a
don't
gets
think
the
there's any
award?
like actual like prize or anything like that.
But yeah, I mean, I guess you could say
I would think it would go to the VTuber themselves. Like, yeah,
for cultivating.
Okay.
'cause they're a part of that actual
Yeah.
fan base. Yeah.
Lopi better be nominated for chaotic streamer.
I think voting is a good idea.
She may have gone in
She
for
may.
that actually.
Well, Lopi
Yeah.
Lopi did tweet about it, so I mean, God
Yeah, she
forbid
did once or
Lopi.
twice.
I can't tell if Lopi winning an award will mean I can hold it over her head or she can hold it over mine. I'm not quite sure where we're gonna be at that.
Well, I mean, you can't hold anything over her head.
Well, she's shorter than me. Shut up, Dal. One of these days, I'm just gonna throw my fucking Switch controller at you. It's in my desk. I'm holding it in my hand. I will lob this to your house.
You
But I
love
do
this
agree
bromance.
with the sentiment that like even just being nominated is a win, right?
Yeah.
'Cause
Oh,
it
yeah.
just
Oh,
it
yeah.
shows that your viewer base came out and actually, took a moment, signed up with a Google account and tossed in your name. So
Yeah.
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's. I mean, I didn't ask for it because I don't necessarily want to like. I don't. There's no category there where I'm like, yeah, that's me. So I didn't ask people to like vote for me or anything. But yeah, there's definitely a thing of like if someone actually goes out their way to nominate you, even if you don't win, that's still a person that thought, hey, this guy was my pick for this category, and I think that alone is kind of cool to see. Which is, I said this before, if you remember, with like the small VTuber awards that came out a while ago from Petri, where I think a lot of people took it the wrong way of like viewing an award show as this big competition where the goal is to win and like be first. I think in reality, the best way to view award shows is that they're just a way to show off VTubers and kind of have a community event where we can all kind of like, I don't know, pat each other on the back and
Nah, I disagree. I think they should be like really cutthroat and like bribing me and
Hunger
you.
Games of VTubing, yes.
Like,
Yeah.
absolutely, like throwing all kinds of under the table, like cash our way to like get us to talk about them. Like,
yeah,
They will be having a
when's the best news tuber category
Yeah, I
so
was
me and
gonna
Foss
say.
can go one-on-one in like chess boxing or something.
chess box. I'm imagining the scene of like the classic Star Trek. There's like the you two just like fighting with big boulders. They're all
No,
styrofoam.
We've got a 1v1. What's the VTuber 1v1 meta? Probably Minecraft, eh? Everyone plays Minecraft.
Yeah, probably.
1v1 me Rust. Oh, yeah, there was no category where I was like, that's me. Although there's some that are definitely, like, I don't know who's going to win most chaotic. There's a bunch of very, like, I think chaotic was the category that a lot of people put them in for because it's not, like, very, what's the word? Like, narcissistic?
Defined. Yeah.
I guess, no, it's just because I think
right.
I think it's hard to, like, go on Twitter and be like, hey, vote for me for best VTuber of the year. Because it's like,
Yeah, I didn't see a lot of people put themselves up for the nomination. I don't know if I saw anyone put
Yeah,
themselves up for a
because it's
nomination on that
hard,
one.
right?
Yeah.
Because it's like
Yeah.
when you're doing most chaotic, it's kind of like a meme where you're like, "Hey, vote for me most chaotic," because hey, I'm a
Look,
little
I'm a gremlin.
yeah. Whereas it doesn't come across as narcissistic or whatever because it's just funny. But like if you go on Twitter and you're like, "Yes, I am the best VTuber," vote. Like it's hard to do
You
that.
just have to be a tsundere about it. You got to be like, you don't have to vote for me or anything,
Yeah, don't-
Baka. I don't care.
But yeah, it's always the hard thing, I guess, about trying to bring something like that to your audience's attention is like, how do you do it without coming across, you know, overbearing? But I think most VTubers have done it pretty well. They tend to, I think people are generally aiming for like the meme categories more because they're funnier. And I think the, like there's some things that I think I wonder if what best philanthropic event, it'll probably want to be one of Mousie's charity things because she's done a lot, but it could be anything.
I have another question. All right.
Shoot.
You said there's no prizes or anything, but like, do winners get like something like a plaque or like something
I don't think so.
for themselves?
I might get a PNG.
that would be so on brand.
PNG with the fake transparent
Yeah.
background,
Yeah.
right?
The checkerboard.
That would
yes.
be perfect. Yeah.
It's a
No,
website
So
file.
the PNG of like I don't know, a silver button for like that kind of like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like
they
something
have
that says-
a frequently asked questions section, but I don't think they have that out yet, just
No.
quite yet. So that'd probably be a bit of
I
a
would-
surprise.
I would
for
love
that.
if it was
Yeah.
just. No, it needs to be like a PNG of the VTuber with like 5 stars on the bottom, SSR, like gacha
Yeah,
level.
yeah.
Really.
Misha here in the chat is saying Fillion said she would send out an award to them. We just don't know what it is. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
So-
No affiliate, it
Which
could be anything.
does not surprise me. I think
Yeah,
they've
yeah.
been thinking about that. Yeah.
Just
It's got to
kidding.
be like a Chad version of whoever wins, like that kind of statue with like the Chad chin and everything, like that.
Knowing Fillion, it could just be a cutout of drywall with a hole in it and just like the plaque underneath. Knowing her.
No affiliate, it could be anything.
It's
Fillion,
a broken
because
headset.
Fillion's hosting the show, I think she's the one VTuber you can't nominate, which is, I mean,
I mean, makes sense.
yeah, I
it
know,
would
but
be
she-
a bit weird if like,
she'd definitely be in the running for most chaotic though. She's wild.
oh yeah.
Yeah, she already has her exposure. She'll be working as the host,
That's
right?
true.
So that's fine for that.
That'd be hard.
As for
But-
voting, guys, don't worry. The Oshi Talk awards will be rigged. I can confirm that now. You don't need to worry. We can confirm it's going to be rigged.
Yeah, so whoever donates the most, that's who gets the award, obviously. So, you know.
Whoever says no to
Uh,
coming on the
what were you
podcast
saying,
doesn't
Faust,
get
there, sir?
nominated. Yeah, sorry.
Oh, I see another question here. Isn't Lena Lazar has confirmed that she's going to be doing some pre-show work, but actually, if you look at their Twitter account, there's a banner, and the last I checked, there is filling in the middle, but there's like 4 shadowy like silhouettes in the background, right? And you can actually tell if you know who the silhouettes. It's
didn't-
looking
Pen,
like.
quick.
I didn't.
Oh,
well,
wait.
I didn't realize there
There's
was
some
a,
other VTubers that may be a part of this somehow, some way.
Yeah. Well, I didn't know there was an actual Twitter for it. I know. I was just looking at Fillion's. Is it Mythic Wait. Oh wait, no, there it is. Hang on. Huh. Wait, yeah. Oh yeah, I think I know. Well, one of them.
Take a guess. Who do you
Well,
think?
okay. Bao's there. Cinder's there.
Yep.
I think.
What is the name of the account? Sorry.
Hang on, I can link it to you.
Yes, please.
Where are you? Let's play Guess That VTuber, my favorite midstream event.
Who's that VTuber?
2 more. You got 2 more.
I think
Who are you thinking?
Oh god, wait. Oh, that's a long. Is that? No, it's not Vienna. Who's got that long a tail?
Oh, I think I know who that is.
I know who. I feel like I definitely know. Oh my god, it's the problem with VTubers is like I know too many. They'll just. You can go.
Is
Cal.
the one with the long tail Geary in her fishing skin?
That's what I think it is. Yeah.
Oh,
I think
you're
it's
sure?
Gary in her.
I did-
Rod gave it
Of
away.
all her model PNGs
Yeah.
she provided,
Oh
she
my
gave them
God.
the fishing one.
Yeah, I saw the fishing rod and I was like, who the fuck has a fishing rod with their model?
Right.
And the one on the right is
I have
that?
no idea who that is.
That's the biggest mystery.
I thought it maybe. I thought it
think
may,
it's going to be.
I thought it was Rikami for a second, but I don't actually know.
A lot of people are thinking it's one of Shoto's
Oh, yeah.
actually a particular model of his actually.
The problem
Yeah.
with guy models is that you just get a lot less silhouette features because you don't have the hair and the like stuff like that. Although there's one, it looks like there's like one horn on the left, which is why I thought it might be Rikami because he has that crown. But I don't think that's quite the silhouette of the crown.
Yeah, can you imagine you being silhouetted? They just
It's
think
just
there's a balloon in the
giant
background.
head. Hmm.
There we go.
Oh yeah, I should have showed it on screen honestly, if I was a good VTuber, but I don't have Falsey set up where he has like he can show things on screen easily because we have 4 boxes for 4 people. I guess I could just go over myself. Nobody needs to see me.
He doesn't have competence like False.
I don't
Is what he's saying.
Been doing this for like a
But-
year and I'm so bad at it.
I'll say, like, you know, the question came up was like, why do we need this? Why do we, you know, do we even need award shows? It's like, well, you don't need award shows. That's true. It's all superfluous. But at the same time, you know, I could share Phalian's frustration when we're looking at other award shows like the Streamer Awards, like the Streamies, and they just bungle the VTuber category so bad that it just feels like, okay, well, let's actually give some VTubers an actual real shot here and at the spotlight. Even if, you know, the first time we mess up, you know, like maybe the first time it has a lot of scuff and, you know, maybe it is a popularity contest at first. Like, you know, let's at least try it, figure it out, and, you know, see how it turns out. Right. So I think it's worth like just at least trying and seeing how that comes together.
I've shown chat just what we were talking about. Just so that they know. Yeah. So Bao, Giri, Cinder. It might be Shoto. I'm not entirely sure. I'm not entirely sure. But there you go.
See, I think with so many people doing them, because like Taka's got his own one that he wants to do and stuff like that, I think it's going to end up going the way of sort of real life ones. So you've got like, you know, the Oscars where you get all the big mainstream films, and then you get like the Tribeca Film Festival where it's like you get nominations for smaller people. I think they'll find their own little niche almost. So like maybe Philians becomes the mainstream, and like Taka's becomes indies only or something.
Yeah,
we'll only know. We'll only know in time.
I don't get why people are so like generally negative to award shows, I guess, because the way I view it is that they're like a net positive no matter what way you slice it, right? Like, unless obviously we're talking about the global VTuber Awards that came up a while ago, which we're not. That's not a net. That is the exception. That's not a net positive. That's very much a scam. Don't submit your information to them. But in general, like, even if you think an award show isn't done like incredibly well, even if you disagree with the picks, ultimately, like, it was still just a cool event for the community. Like, you didn't lose anything. Nothing was like really. No one was hurt. Nobody really harmed. So I just feel like when people see a award show, they get very, like, not the VTubers themselves, but fan bases can get very competitive, and they take it maybe a bit more seriously than it needs to be taken.
I think some people are probably like preemptively like, oh, my Oshi's not going to win, so...
Yes,
like,
yeah, I think that's also the case.
This.
Even those that have like a big fan base, like a Galgura, I think they kind of see this as more like of a Twitch kind of thing, and so they're not expecting a win. So why not just dump on it now, right?
Yeah. Right.
And that's just a faulty way of thinking because anyone could be nominated for this thing.
Yeah.
So why wouldn't you try to instead organize fans, even if you're VTuber is missing in action, why not try to do it yourself and get the fan base kind of running with it, right? So
yeah. I mean, yeah, even if your VTuber is missing in action, it maybe is like the one thing you get where you get to feel like a community game when they're not streaming. But yeah, I
it
don't
might
know.
lure them back. It might just like drag them back.
It is cool recently, especially. I've noticed that like the sort of barrier between like corpo and indie is definitely fading as time goes on. Like more and more, I'm seeing a lot more like collabs between like indies, like Twitch streamers and corporate VTubers. There's more like hololive and nijisanji start streaming on Twitch occasionally, which I think does a lot to bridge that gap as well. So I don't know, more things that kind of break down that gap I think is always cool.
Yeah. I mean, I classified 2022 as like, what was the big news story? And to me, it was the rise of indies that could just stay as indies, right? Like where it was like they didn't have to join a big organization like a Shoto, like a Shy Lily, where they can just be indies and be very comfortable with that, and don't feel the need to join any kind of agency. And at the same time, we started seeing some actually cracks in the facade for agencies.
Yeah.
So that is what I said was going on now.
All right. So
Well-
another question
Mhm.
is, obviously, I don't know anything. Is the goal to try and get signed by a
No.
company?
It used to be. It
Hmm.
used to be that was the goal, I think, because you had back in 2020 when hololive English came out.
Oh,
and
yeah,
it was
back
like,
then.
oh my goodness, they have 1 million subscribers
Yeah.
right off the bat. This is the
Okay.
exposure I want. This is what I'm working toward.
Mhm.
And
But it's not like that
now,
anymore.
this year has just been a kind of a nonstop train of one kind of agency blunder after
Yeah.
another, I think.
Oh, well, how many have we lost so
And-
far this year?
A lot.
uh, so on top of that, and on top of that, kind of being very like evident to people, I think there's a little bit of a push away from that. I think from indies,
Well,
where maybe they're just becoming more comfortable
I
with being
think-
indies on a whole.
The thing is,
In my
with-
experience here, and it's not much. Like
Mhm.
all I know is that like the companies are like a nightmare apparently, and
well,
indie's the way to go.
the thing is,
that not right?
No, well, you have to remember that. I mean, I realize I'm saying this with 2 news VTubers in.
It's
in the
boring
call,
to say, but it depends
Yeah.
on,
Yeah.
especially on who you are as a VTuber. Right?
Yeah.
Like, what are you looking for? Like, what do you want out of this? Like,
yeah,
do you want some like dedicated managers and like lots of like sponsorships
Okay, so it's not like-
and things
it's
like
not like
that?
a-
And a group, and people that you can just readily collab with. Well, maybe an agency makes sense for you.
yeah, And negative news
Okay.
goes further. Remember, so you hear about an agency blowing up, but you don't really hear about agency does well for the 15th week in a row. Like Idol's done amazingly. Idol hasn't blundered really once that I remember. They've had a breakout success. They've basically handled everything well. They've kind of opened up transparency in the community as well in terms of making sure everybody's in the loop about like, portions and whatnot. So that's a great agency W, but sometimes people can hyper focus on like one really bad agency blowing up. I think honestly for me, right, and you see this in pretty much every aspect of streaming, is that groups tend to do better. Like when you have a group of creators that are all pointing to each other and like linking to each other and whatnot, they tend to do better as a group than they do individually. Like you've seen that even in the beginning stages of YouTube when it was like Vanos Gaming and that kind of group. When you have multiple people that are all independently creating, it works well. And I think that's why agencies in the early years were so powerful. Whereas
yeah.
now it kind of feels like there's almost, it's not an agency almost, but almost like a indie agency, if you like, where you have all the top like indie talents that are all kind of know each other and collab and point to each other anyway, but they just aren't officially in an agency. And so they get they get
so like community, like just
exactly.
plain old.
Whereas back in 2020, that community was still kind of being built. It was still kind of coming up. And so it was very like people like Iron Mouse were like essentially treading new ground and like kind of in their own little territory. Whereas now, the top VTubers all collab with each other. There's a big community around it. So it has definitely changed. The puppers are very angry.
they're clearly hololive fans. They're like, shut the fuck up.
Okay, so in light of this this news, apparently, so False, I'm not sure if you would like to adopt a Rainbow Chick as far as like giving her accurate information about, because I was promised I'd learn a lot about VTubing, and once again, I ain't no shit. So yeah.
Wow, it's
You
been
should-
10
you should either
episodes.
come
What are you
here more
doing here,
often.
Penub?
Yeah.
What's going on?
Okay, in my defense, every time we get into shop talk,
Self-defense.
Dashie's like, "Oh my god, you're talking about shop talk again. I'm so bored." But then
What?
then
When
she's
have
like,
I done that? When? All right, Tal, your editing
Huh?
is needed. Go back
Oh, God,
and like
okay.
cut out all
Oh,
the parts
God.
where I ask questions and I want to know about VTubing.
"Please
like I was
don't know.
promised.
Please don't use Tao as a
No.
hitman against me
No.
to find receipts. I
No.
can't even
You have
remember what
nothing
I
to say.
said."
Find
Shush.
receipts.
Shut it. Shut it.
But I mean,
Uh.
there's a lot. I mean, to
But
be
yeah,
fair, if you want
either
to know
come
stuff,
back more, False, come back more and teach me more, please, or adopt me. That's it.
we'll replace Tao with
one of
false.
those
Don't
two.
worry about it.
What?
What? No.
We're raising the weakest link. I'm just actually, we're raising all of us. We're just gonna get all four
Yeah.
of the TVS group on here instead.
Yeah. Well, I'll send you the logos and everything false later.
Is that what
The
you?
unfortunate thing is the problem is still to really know about what's happening with VTubers, you still have to go on Twitter. That's the
Yeah.
unfortunate
Yeah.
thing. Even at the end of 2023, even as much as it is tried to implode on itself,
It's not
Twitter
called
is still
Twitter
kind of
anymore,
the place
blah,
to
blah,
know
blah.
about it.
Oh, Twitter is where you just get. It's the first kind of point of contact for pretty much anything that happens, right? Is that you see it on Twitter. The only like. By the time things get to like any other platform, like by the time a video is made on YouTube or by the time a post is made on Reddit, like people on Twitter have known about it for like hours. So if you're trying to get all the context, it's all on Twitter, and then everything else is a filtered form of that.
Well, I was going to say, I imagine, false that 90% of your sources are Twitter, like.
Oh yeah,
posts.
always have been.
Mhm.
100%. Yeah.
I mean, Pens
absolutely.
is just your videos of the Twitter links, so
So is Twitter like a bad thing? Because I feel like that was said in a way like, oh, I guess you'll have to go to Twitter. Like, is that a bad thing that it's a Twitter thing or what?
Twitter can be interesting as a website. I think it is I think it is actually useful as far as there's no other site like it for getting real-time news from anyone at any time. There's no other site really like other sites have came along and tried to do it, but the thing is you need a fan base, you need like a user base in order for the site to work, because if nobody's using it, nobody's posting anything. So as far as that goes, it is good, but the problem is that Twitter is very reactionary and kind of angry and likes to stir up drama, and Twitter tends to put people with opposing opinions next to each other in the same thread so that they can shout at each other very angrily all the time. So what ends up happening is that pretty much everything blows up into an issue, or sorry, the issue with big capital letters. So you kind of get burned out after a while when you've read your 15th Twitter thread about how no, this thing the VTuber said is the most problematic thing and we need to talk about it. And you're like, no, we really don't. It's not that big a deal.
Okay.
it's raw, unfiltered emotions. I
Mhm.
think is the issue with it, which is the good and the bad side of that.
I think it's
Hmm.
telling that I believe a large portion of my viewership and potentially, maybe for you, Penumbra, is that it's for people that aren't on
Yep.
Twitter nonstop like us,
Yeah.
and also don't want to be on Twitter.
I get
so
that.
they just have us play in the background a little bit
Yeah.
to catch up.
I get that a lot with comments and whatnot. I get so many comments every week that are like, hey, I don't go on Twitter, I hate it. So I'm thankful that I have these videos to keep me in the loop. Because, I mean, I get that. Like, Twitter is... I mean, to be fair, again, Twitter is also about cultivating who you follow. There's definitely ways to use Twitter in a way that you don't get all that shit. Like, if you follow very non-controversial people and you just follow very wholesome, happy VTubers that don't involve themselves in controversy or drama, your timeline will pretty much all be reposted fan art and, like, interactions and fun, right? It's just that I think on Twitter, there's definitely a pressure to follow everyone that you vaguely know. And so what ends up happening is your timeline gets clogged up with their posts, their friends' posts, their reposts, their replies, and you end up seeing everything, and then you get bogged down. But if you cultivate it and you follow like a few people that you actually genuinely care about, you'll get updated when they post something important that you would actually be interested in knowing, but you filter out all the other shit. Just don't use the For You page, it's trash.
Yeah, I feel like that's a must. From my perspective, it's like, I have fuck all followers, so like it doesn't matter. But like didn't you have someone that was like got offended that you didn't follow them or something? Like, as
I don't think no. I mean, there's a joke.
like that.
There's a joke in a running joke in that sometimes I show Twitter as my sources, like False was saying, or I show like YouTube channels, and sometimes I'm not following them or subscribed to them when I show them on stream, and everyone in chat's like, "Oh, you hate them." You don't. I'm like, no, I just forget. I just forget to follow people sometimes.
Oh yeah, that's when I was trying to cancel you for not following Kuro.
Yeah, but no, but that does happen, man. I mean, I've seen it happen a few times. False has probably seen it happen 100 of people getting pissy because one person unfollowed them or didn't follow them, and they're like, oh, unacceptable.
It's as if like
purposely, actually, for my presentation, use an account that is not following anybody, and
Right.
we also remove like
That makes
as
sense.
many numbers as possible, like follower numbers, likes, and all that. We just remove all that because that's not what that's about. you know?
I started doing that as well when I was I can't remember what it was a few months ago. I started when I cut the tweet, I just removed the bottom analytics part, because not only does it not necessarily age very well on a short where like someone might see it in a month from now and be like, wait, that is not accurate numbers, but also it just, it's not relevant. Like,
Yeah, no one's there for
unless
it's someone like,
it's someone getting absolutely ratioed by quote retweets, and then I might show it because like it's a good indication of maybe their opinion is trash. But you know, outside of that.
I feel
yeah,
like that or a milestone is the only reason to like ever show those sort of things.
Because I see it kind of brought up here, like in your chat, Twitter isn't even that popular. It's the definition of being a vocal minority. There's actually some truth to that. There's not a lot of actual users of Twitter compared to so many other social platforms.
Yep.
And yet it is the platform that is by default used by VTubers to get their word out to their fan base.
Well, it's
it's not Instagram, it's not Facebook, it's not so many other platforms. It's this one.
Yeah, well,
And so with that, all of the word of mouth and all of the, mind share goes to it.
yeah. I mean, the thing is, I feel like even not for VTubers, just for content creators in general, I think Twitter is still... I've always said, I think there's, not only is there less active users of Twitter, but there's also less users of Twitter that are like posting and replying. The vast majority just hit like and move on with their day, right? Or
yeah,
a lot of them don't even do that. A lot of people just browse. They just follow people and then they just scroll through. They don't like interact at all. So
that's why artist accounts are so popular,
Yeah.
right? Like you'll see artists that have 500,000 followers because they get, pretty much a lot of likes on their actual art. Then they'll actually try to post something else that's not their art and they get zero interaction, right? So, people are very much there for a certain reason in many cases with Twitter.
So you have like a smaller user base, and then of that user base, even a smaller minority is actually active. And of that active user base, it's not like Reddit where it doesn't really matter who you are, like whatever you post like has equal amounts of chance of getting upvoted or whatever. Like on Twitter, if you don't have a following, there's no point to posting. Like, I think for personal things like actually connecting with like family members or what are your personal friends, most people probably use like Facebook because it's more of a personal family connection thing. I think that's kind of been phased out though. I don't know about you guys. That was kind of like the thing my parents use, but I've never really used it.
The only reason I still have a Facebook is for my parents.
Yeah.
Or to talk to my parents, and that's it.
So there's not like really any alternative to Twitter. Twitter is the content creators like website. The only alternative is maybe Instagram, but that's kind of weird. Instagram is kind of in a weird spot where I'm not entirely sure what it's meant to be, because it's like videos, but then it's kind of like TikToks, but it's also images, but then it's also just posts. It's a bit weird.
Well,
yeah, we had Threads. We had Threads, and I don't think that had a proper
died.
EU rollout at all. Actually, I don't believe. So.
Yeah, no, it didn't.
Every month or so, we get like, guys, trust me, this is the new Twitter for VTubers. Join it.
But that doesn't happen anymore. It used to be that way where it was like, okay, we're going from MySpace over to Facebook. We're going from Dig to Reddit. People don't do these big moves anymore.
I think as well,
sites just stay around forever.
Yeah.
Hence, we're on YouTube right now, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those where it's like nothing. No one will mass exodus until there's a replacement that works, and so far there hasn't been a replacement that has ever worked.
Unironically, I think if YouTube worked on the community tab, it might be a decent alternative, because the community tab I think is probably actually the best way to interact with your, like viewer base, because you're actually talking to the people that are actually on your YouTube channel and not just random people on Twitter. The only issue, the
They're
community
hard
tab,
to see sometimes. You miss it a lot.
well, that's the only issue with the community tab is, one, if you're not actively looking for it, chances are you're probably not seeing them. Like, there's not really a way to easily go to like the community center and see all your community posts and see like everybody. And there's no interaction as well from like other content creators where if they reply to your community post, other people can see it and there's like that banter back and forth. It feels like there's so many sites that are close to Twitter that would be better, but they just aren't. So currently we're kind of just stuck with Twitter. But yeah, I've noticed that as well when I'm doing like my citations. What am I, fucking university student? When I'm doing like my sources in my description for my shorts, because I always post like all the links to everything I talk about. Nobody looks at it. Everybody in the comments is always like, "Hey, do you have a link for this thing?" And I'm like, "Yep, I do. I put it there." But they are there, and every time I'm like, man, 9 out of 10 of these links are just Twitter links to things, which.
Yeah, you can at people on YouTube.
can. I
So
don't.
right there on the title, right? You have
Yeah.
me added, and that'll show up on
Mhm. And then people
something
can
in
just
my dashboard.
Yeah.
But you can also set. I think there is a setting where you can be alerted to larger creators with some kind of subscriber number to them. So that's sometimes how I see you.
Yeah.
In my comments, it'll give me an alert, and I'm like, oh,
I
let
get
me
the
read
same, yeah.
this.
It's in your notifications. Like once you start getting enough, like YouTube kind of automatically, Twitter does the same thing, where depending on the kind of volume of interactions you're getting, it will start filtering how many notifications you get based on like follower count. So like, yeah, when someone like another VTuber comments on my replies to my tweet or comments on my YouTube video, not that I ever post them, I do get a notification for it. But it's just, I don't know, man. VTubing is in a weird, I think just general social media at the moment is in a weird kind of spot where nobody really likes Twitter, but we're kind of stuck with it. So
I think it's like all the platforms that everyone uses for content creation have glaring issues that they all refuse to fix. You know, like Twitch has got massive issues, but everyone has to use it because it's Twitch. You either use that or YouTube Live, which has the equal amount of issues. You know, Twitter sucks. Everyone fucking hates it. All of them are just like, you know, they're what we have. You don't have an option.
Yeah,
and they know that, unfortunately.
I mean, yeah, you see it everywhere, right? Like the YouTube versus Twitch debate, the Twitter versus not Twitter debate. Basically everything is in a state of people being like, just give me one feature and we'll be good, but it's just not happening. I think I'd be interested in your opinion on this, Oz, in terms of YouTube versus Twitch streaming, because I honestly think currently if YouTube works on its third-party interaction, I think it might be just a better streaming experience, but I think it's going to be very hard to get people off of Twitch.
Yeah, my whole thing was we haven't ran any YouTube streams this year, and we very much have just focused on Twitch because monetization is hilariously better on Twitch.
Yeah.
People are just more used to giving subs, giving bits. They've, gamified the whole process over there. So it is just easier to get monetized. So I would have bigger viewership on my YouTube streams, but I would be making anywhere from 2 to 3 times on my Twitch streams than we would. So it was just a simple equation where I was like, oh, well, if I'm going to support my co-hosts, I know where I have to be, and I know what we're going to focus on now. Yeah. So I think for YouTube, they need to, honestly get a lot of people more used to just actually, supporting their content creators with money. But YouTube, the user base on YouTube isn't really used to that. They're not.
Definitely a culture. I mean, the culture of Twitch is kind of built around monetization, right? Like the hype trains and the bits and the TTS and the alerts and like YouTube, you can copy some of that things. You can use like stream elements to kind of copy a bit of it.
The big thing is I'm sending a super chat to my Oshi. Oh, don't I feel special? That's kind of the thing as to why like VTubers at least have had some success on YouTube streaming more so than just about any other type of content creator.
Yeah. I mean, the whole thing with like hololive and the whole, Akasupa thing that was came out in Holo JP where you... Why am I choking? What has happened? I feel like I've been assassinated.
Do you need to get a drink or
something?
something?
Someone heard my comments about Thanksgiving and has decided to poison my house or something. But yeah, the whole thing with hololive is like, you get the colors and that appears on screen. What is happening to my voice, man?
What is wrong with
me?
Mute and get it
out of
Jesus,
your mouth.
It's not anything though. I haven't eaten anything. It's just like my throat is just assassinating me.
He's having a throat skill issue.
Okay, like if I die doing what I loved. Talking about
random
topics on stream.
That was kind of wholesome. Okay,
well, I was leading into a joke, but sure, I'm glad you guys were wholesome about it. But yeah, I don't know. The whole like super chatting culture is definitely for VTubers done a bit to combat it, but just I don't know. Twitch in general, it just has more opportunities, more of a culture, more of a, I guess, a generally accepted sort of, I don't know what you call it. I guess culture is the best word of throwing super chats, tips and TTSs and whatnot. Although they did try to copy super chats and that flopped. That was funny.
But like, imagine if they just were like, oh, if you got YouTube Premium, you can throw like they do with free subscription. Just oh yeah, you can get a free sub to your whoever on YouTube if you have YouTube Premium. Like that would go so far in just helping.
Mm.
But no.
The problem is as well, and I'm kind of in. Oh yeah, go first. I'm gonna drink
I
anyway.
saw this piece in the comments. I heard that YouTube Shorts have become a fantastic way to get visibility. You're literally watching a channel that is all about
That's me. that's my whole thing. Hey, welcome.
Yeah.
You
Congratulations,
make
by the way, on 110,000
Yeah,
subscribers.
I still haven't
now.
put. Oh god,
Yeah.
I still need to post that thing with my silver play button. I'm still hiding it from
Yeah.
my
Oh, wait,
parents,
I thought you
don't.
still have to
Still
post
need-
the rank
yeah,
of the
booba tier is-
titties. Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
no.
We went through this with your co-host, False, that Penumbral is holding out on a promise that he made for 100k. He said he would do a booba
Wasn't
tier
a
list,
promise.
and it was though.
No, if I was to ignore
Yeah.
them, they're
Yeah, it was though.
they're whatever. What was it? I was gonna make a point before you started going off on something. I can't remember what it was. Oh, it was
Tough.
the
You have a point.
I think the difference between Twitch and YouTube as well, though, right, is that it's actually, I don't want to argue against it because it's one of my favorite things about streaming on YouTube. I can just decide to not run ads in the middle of a stream and people just don't get ads and that just works. Like, if I just tell YouTube and I'm like, don't play ads because I don't like them, because ads are kind of shit on streams anyway. I think most people know, like, the amount of monetization you get from ads is not worth the the issues it causes to your streamers. I guess unless you're like fucking XQC and you're getting like 30k people watching, then it might be worth it. But for the average streamer, ads are they just inconvenience your viewers. People click off and you get no money from it. So on YouTube, I can just not run ads and people don't get them. Whereas on Twitch, I have to either have like mandatory pre-rolls. Therefore, every time someone clicks in, they get an immediate ad before they can actually see my stream, or like 3 minutes of ads every hour, which is a lot when you get them all at once. So I do like that part of YouTube, but it does disincentivize again the whole sub gifting, because one of the big things about sub gifting on Twitch is you give people subs and then they don't have to see ads. So an ad break comes up and people shout about ads in chat, and then somebody in chat gifts like 5 subs, and it's like, again, part of that back and forth. But I don't really want to argue against it because I prefer YouTube's method, but it is just objectively less likely to get, again, that monetization in.
It's a balancing act, isn't it? Like, ads are never not going to be annoying, but it's,
How do you
how you
run
make
ads
money.
on your channel, folks? You don't mind me
As
asking.
few as I can. So whatever the lowest setting I can set it to is what I have it set to. Yeah, I've never gone in for their ad incentive programs. I know like a few content creators, it makes sense at their kind of rates. So like Geary has explained to her audience, how important it actually is for her streams.
Yep.
That's why it feels like every minute you're getting an ad on her streams. But on mine, yeah, I guess it's 3 minutes an hour or whatever the lowest could be.
Mine's the
whatever I have
same.
that set to the lowest, because the rate is not great on Twitch. Twitch
No.
doesn't know who you are.
Yep.
They don't know who you are the way that YouTube is. So here on YouTube, they know exactly who you are. They know exactly what you like to watch. They know exactly what you're into, and so they can curate very specific ads they can charge more for, as opposed to Twitch. They don't know anything about you, so they're going to run the most generic ads. They can't charge a lot to the advertisers for those ads.
Yep.
And so they're going to run a lot of them instead, and it's just a bad experience because of it.
Yeah, well, I mean,
Quantity
what was I
instead of
doing on,
quality,
what was
yeah.
I doing on?
Yep.
I was doing something on Twitch the other day where I clicked into someone's stream to raid them, and I got an ad for the weirdest thing. It was not relevant at all to me, and yeah, like YouTube, at least I get like whenever like an agency runs. Well, actually, I don't see ads on YouTube because I have premium, which I think is honestly worth it. People shit on premium. I think premium's a great investment if you're watching.
No, premium's
YouTube.
fine. Yeah, we get a
YouTube
cut of it.
lacks so many
It's
basic
something I
features in
recommend. Yeah,
moderation,
good
Interaction
stuff.
with the streamer,
Mm.
stream stability from other continents. Stream
Yeah,
would cut off often on your
Twitch
twin
is so
penners in
irrelevant
Australia,
with its
VIPs
ads. Like,
and
I
membership
literally
gifting to
clicked
a
on a
person,
VTuber stream a
emotes
few
from
months
other
ago and
channels.
got an ad for condoms. It's like, the VTuber fans.
Yeah.
That ain't selling anything.
So yeah, Michael just tipped and said that YouTube is missing a lot of like the basic features, like being able to use someone's emotes in another channel when you're sub to them as well. Like you don't have that, so you don't have that whole thing of like being able to use your favorite streamer's emotes somewhere else if you have a sub, and just like I've said this, I think that the one thing YouTube is lacking is just that culture around it, that sort of like streaming mindset of that Twitch has, and they've tried to emulate it, and I think it works a little bit, but it's not quite there yet. But I'm really excited to see where they'll be in like a year.
I remember this really, really good analogy made by a aquatic VTuber, Artemis, who said, who was streaming on YouTube a lot at the time, because they had a lot of subscribers here on YouTube, and they were like, streaming on YouTube is like streaming on a very nice yacht of your own, and you're out there at sea, and you're having a good fun time on your own. But you look at Twitch, and everybody's on that great cruise ship together and making a like this huge loud party you can hear all the way from your like lonely yacht.
Yeah.
Wow, I like it.
Yeah.
It's a good analogy.
Wow.
And when that hit, I was like, oh, I got to try Twitch more. Yeah. And sure enough, they just have a better culture of raids. They just have,
better community, like a homie, like a,
it's just Twitch.
Togetherness.
Twitch is built for streaming, which means when you're there, you're in the streaming mindset. It's so much easier to get from one stream to another, to raid into someone, to see someone else's emotes in your chat, to link to someone else and jump back. And, you have all the bots in chat as well, and make clips, and then the clips are stored on your channel, and anyone can go in and just view all the clips at any time. And so you have your top clips of all time that people can go in and look and laugh at. Whereas on YouTube, like
I don't think that you can't go back though on like whatever was just said.
Yeah, well, the lack of voice.
There's a trick to that, actually. So
you gotta tell me what it is.
The highlight.
What actually you do is you click on the little icon, you go to their videos, and you look at past broadcasts. In the past broadcast will be the actual current broadcast. So you have to open up another window, or just click into that, and you can watch all of the actual stream that is there on Twitch.
I just got an extension that is like Twitch VOD or something, which lets me rewind in real time. But yeah, that works as well.
That's cool. Yeah, I like that. I'll check that out. But natively, you can do that. And here over on YouTube, there's just an option. I don't know if anyone knows here in chat, but there's literally for us streamers, you can turn it on or off. Yeah. You can turn on the ability to like rewind on or off if you want.
YouTube's biggest thing is definitely the integration between streaming and content creation. And I think again, no, go on, Tyler.
I was gonna say, like, I think as well, discovery, like we've done it on Twitch before, where we've, you've been streaming RimWorld or something, and you've gone and looked at who else is streaming it. Here, if like, say you want to see Minecraft creators, you type in Minecraft, even on the live section, and you get
is it so weird kid stuff?
Oh yeah, it'll be like weird like videos that are just on loop live streaming, and it's
do you
like
remember when every Minecraft live stream had Alban Knox in the title?
Oh god,
do you remember that? It was a while back.
That was so strange.
It was very bizarre.
But there's just, you can't discover people via games. It's really hard to, if you don't know them already from somewhere else, or they're not linked through another creator there's like no discovery unless it comes up in your recommended, which everyone just games the system on recommended anyway. Yeah. So like if you don't know that gaming system, you don't how to fight the algorithm.
I don't know. Twitch is just...
Having said that, I have the questions that I always ask to the guests because, once again, for the millionth time, I don't know nothing. False. How long have you been a VTuber, and what got you to go, I'm going to be a VTuber?
I just celebrated 4 years as a VTuber. 4 years.
Very nice, very nice.
Yeah. So that was on November 17th, and it was really, I remember it very distinctly when I found my first VTuber. So I may have seen like a Inagami Korone or maybe a Kizuna Eye at some point, but it didn't click the same way in mid-2019, the before times, when, I don't know, I was just on my phone, just watching some live streams of whatever expansion of Final Fantasy 14 had come out at that time. I was just watching streams of that, and I was about to pass out. This was like 4 in the morning.
Oh yeah.
And I just click on one more stream, and there's this high-pitched anime girl that's talking, and I'm like, what the heck is this? What is this? This is, I was like fascinated, and I Became a good friend of that
thank you for the 12
VTuber and
months,
just
man.
watched them almost nonstop for like a month.
I don't want to interrupt. Boss.
And after a while, you know, just it didn't occur to me that you could do this at home until I had seen them actually run this at home, right? And all of a sudden, it started becoming to realize like, oh wait, I can do this. I'd always wanted to be some kind of content creator, but I didn't really, you know, want to put my face out there or anything like that.
Yeah,
So this was a nice solution to that, and it all just kind of coalesced at the end of 2019.
So who was it, sorry, that you saw? Do you remember?
Her name is Rainy, R-A-I-N-Y. She's on Twitch, and she's really big into 3D. So she's actually creating her own like 3D software and all that right now. So
I think I might know them.
But I consider her my senpai. We're good friends, and
Awesome.
we can't wait to see what she comes out with next.
I'm gonna pull this one. Oh, sorry, Dash.
No, go ahead.
I'm just gonna pull this one out. False, you're the reason I am here today.
Well,
I'm so sorry. My apologies.
I know. I said this to Lady last week. Like it was, I always wanted, like you said, like always wanted to do content creation stuff like that. And then it was when you guys were looking for co-hosts, and I was like, you know what, fuck it, I can load up VR chat. I can boot up a model. Yeah, you know what, why not?
You dragged him down
Yeah,
this
the
rabbit
fun
hole.
thing about the auditions that we had, because we had auditions for Lady, and then we had auditions about a year later for Cody and Heidi.
Cody and Heidi.
And I just felt like it was nice because it was clearly like a lower barrier of entry, right? It wasn't this thing where it was like, you got to sing, you got to dance, you got to stream a million times. It was literally like, no, you just got to send in a segment a few times a week, and that's about it. And otherwise, we'll get you set up with everything else. So that was really cool.
What exactly? I mean, is it a show that you have? Or
yeah, folks, you should probably explain to Dashie what.
Yes, please.
So for nearly 3 years now, coming up on December 8th, it'll be the third year. We have our YouTube, I guess, yeah, you could call it show, Things VTubers Say. So literally, it just began at the end of 2020, where I was out there and I noticed, oh wait, VTubers have a community now. When I started in 2019, there was no VTuber community. We were totally separate. We were out there. And around 2020, VTubers started hanging out together and talking with one another. And all of a sudden, when I came back, I noticed, oh my goodness, they're saying some crazy stuff. And is anyone seeing this? And no, because it's off stream. So I was like, well, I guess, you know, we could try this out. And if people don't immediately attack me, we'll see if it's interesting to them or not. And people liked it. People liked it a lot for a long while, and that was the start of it, at least.
So do you? What is it? You have like different VTubers come on and like as guests, or what?
This is literally just pulling up their tweets originally and just like making content out of that, right? So
I see. Okay.
Here's
All
this.
right.
Here's what they're saying, and then last year we did run. Really late 2021, but all of last year, 2022, we had weekly shows just like this one, where you bring on a new VTuber that I was interested in talking with and just kind of pull up tweets that they had made over their time as a VTuber. And we actually just recently did this with Penumbra over on my Twitch.
We did, yeah.
I think we probably still have another good stream worth of that too, actually, because we only got it like halfway in, to be honest.
You have no idea how much I yelled at him after that stream when he just dropped Oshi talk like a brick.
Yeah, wait, I can't even remember what I said. There's so much I care about it.
You said, that's Tao's thing, don't worry about that.
Yeah.
And then you just moved on.
That's horrible. You are such a
Into
horrible
the trash
person.
you go.
You are.
Yeah.
Like you're a cat
Jesus.
boy, you belong in the dumpster.
But it's evolved since then, and I agree with everybody, because a few of my viewers have been like, false ID changed, and I agree. I think I changed, but I also think the VTuber scene has changed. Like for a little while there was a community, now it's just a scene. It's a bunch of different communities that don't have anything to do with each other. And I think 2021 was still kind of the golden age. The quote unquote drama that a lot of people call it was not really on the forefront at all.
Yeah.
And it wasn't really until like early 2022, around February and March, where things started to finally bubble up. So we looked at,
that was
Urahara
yeah, I was gonna say it's off the
getting
tubes.
terminated.
Russia and Coco.
And then we had old rivalries from like cosplay communities with Lena Lazar and Bunny Gift
Oh,
like boil
God, yeah,
over.
I remember
yeah.
that. That lasted weeks.
And all of a sudden, I'm talking about these things that I was never expecting to talk about. Like, and my stuff was just like, hey, here's this new debut. It's this new song. We're all having fun. And then, you know, I'd been doing it long enough where I was like, okay, I guess I feel comfortable talking about this because people are talking about it. And now that's the format. We give you the bad news first and the good news after. And if everything goes well, there's way more good news. So we kind of trick people. Honestly, into watching good news because they don't. People say they want good news, but they don't actively click into watching it. Actually, you got to kind of shove it down their throats a little bit.
It's the unfortunate.
You got to get a little controversial.
It's the unfortunate reality of news, isn't it? Is that bad news sells. People are more than happy to talk about. Oh man, I wish you just talk about the good stuff, but people don't care really that much about the good stuff. It's
it doesn't get people clicking.
No, and the thing is, I get a lot. I get I don't get it as much, I guess, because I have short form content, which means I don't get to linger on one particular thing too long. I'm just kind of go. But I have seen that kind of sentiment in like Reddit and whatnot, where people are like, "Why don't you just talk about like the good stuff? Why do you have to focus on the drama?" And it's like, sure, some weeks that would be relevant if you like deliberately digging up drama to like talk about it, but at this point, in order to ignore some of the negative stuff happening in the community, you'd have to be willfully ignorant and purposefully ignoring it in order to not talk about it.
The actual scene has changed. I'm just here to actually definitively state that. Like, it's fine to say that, you know, we've changed a little bit along with it. I do feel more comfortable and responsible talking about these things, but absolutely, it is now an element that is actually actively there, whereas before it was very much, I guess, swept under the rug, and a lot of these rivalries and problems were just, you know, smaller and more interpersonal. And that's still, you know, things I'm not super interested in. I'm interested in the stories that actually have some impact. So I think for myself and perhaps for you, Phenomenal, like, we're the VTubers that other VTubers watch. Because they want to know what's going on and they want to know what's happening and keep up to date with that stuff. So that, you know, has a bit of a feedback where I think of like, well, what can other VTubers learn from this situation? Because there's usually just always a weird new twist to some of this stuff that comes along with the story.
I think my next video, if I ever made it, I've made a video in like 6 months, if it ever comes out, but I was going to make a video about like, just kind of summing up all the dangerous agency stuff we've seen over the last year, you know, with like, not
good luck.
And not summing it up as a like a here's what happened kind of thing, more as like I guess a cautionary tale of like in general the vibes we've gotten and the trends we've seen of new agency, people sign on with it necessarily reading the contract and get sucked into like non-compete clauses or
I think that would be really
like,
useful.
Basically, just to think a video of like, look, there's this trend currently where agencies are popping up without much actually backing them. The person running them doesn't necessarily know what they're doing. They're getting people to sign a contract and then everything goes tits up, and the people that sign the contract are ultimately the ones that kind of suffer for it, and kind of just making it not because obviously like, if I took the time to dive into everything that's happened with Wactor, that's like a whole half-hour video on its own. That's like, if that shit goes deep. Whereas I think just generally kind of summarizing the vibes and the trends we've seen could be good. But yeah, there's definitely a... I guess you're right in terms of like being the VTubers that I guess sort of put things in perspective for other VTubers to watch in terms of so that they can keep up to date with what's happening as well. It's also becoming, I don't know if you've seen this as well, folks, more and more of like the people that follow me on Twitter, the people that I see in my comments are also like aspiring VTubers themselves. You get like a lot of people that want to be a VTuber that are also like in like watching us as well. So I think it's kind of strange where like I'm seeing more and more of like viewers becoming streamers. It's an interesting transition.
I still maintain that just about anyone can actually become a VTuber. Now, how successful you are at that, you know, that's entirely on a whole number of factors. But yeah, I actually do recommend if, you know, you want to try some content creation out, try it as a VTuber. It's really freeing. It's very much still that nice countersection of technology and artistry together, where you can actually express yourself in a really interesting way that we kind of lost for a while there. You know, for a while the internet was just you're supposed to use your real and first and last name. You're on Facebook now.
Yeah.
You're just you.
Yeah.
And VTubing was a nice kind of return to form where it's like, no, we're back to our avatars now. We have crazy names, you know. So I really enjoy that.
It is.
Having said what you just said, okay, and what is something that you guys, both you and Penumbral, maybe some quick advice for somebody that's starting to, look into this that you wish somebody would have told you guys?
My advice always with, okay, I don't know if False and I we might have a debate here. My advice with streaming and content creation as general is to just do it. Like, literally just hit go live. I don't care if it's a PNG of an apple. I don't care what the hell you're using. Your first stream is going to be scuffed as fuck. Your 10th stream is going to be scuffed. It's going to be a while until you're any way like halfway competent or know what the hell is going on, right? You have to get used to speaking. You have to get used to actually setting up a stream. Like, what are you going to do? How are you going to do it? Like, your first, like, I would say maybe even few months of streaming are still you learning things and being like, how the hell does this work? So if you're constantly putting it off, this is a trend I see in the VTubing scene a lot, of people putting off content creation and streaming because they need to wait until their model is finished. They need to wait until yeah, Tal, I'm calling you out. They need to wait until, this is right, or that's right, or this is right. You don't need to stream constantly. You don't need to stream 10 days a week somehow, right? Even if it's just going live once for like 2 hours on the weekend when you have time with a PNG, sure, chances are nobody's going to watch you, but you get the experience that way, so that when the time comes that you start getting the ball rolling on getting like an avatar, getting like a model, getting whatever, you already have all that like early on awkwardness out of the way. And also, I guess the other one would think, make more content than just streams, like do other stuff, like do videos, do shorts, do whatever, right? False, I don't know what your advice would be.
Yeah, absolutely. Do not do what I did and like buy a bunch of equipment and, get everything set up. Yeah. Because I still had the idea I was going to have the perfect first stream. I was going to hit the ground running, because I was gonna hit up Twitch, and people were just gonna see my VTuber avatar and they'd be like, "What is that? I can't believe it!" And they were gonna react like I did.
Yes.
As it turns out, my first stream that I had 4 years ago had no one watching. Surprise, surprise. And it was playing Red Dead Redemption 2 at release. And then when I went back to watch it, my bitrate was too high, so it was running at 1 frame per second for 2 hours straight. Yeah, it was entirely unwatchable. And that's okay, because at the end of the day, I started to get used to like, okay, I'm not streaming anybody, so I'm going to go ahead and just entertain myself a little bit and get used to just talking and filling up this dead air. So it was good training that way.
Right.
But I didn't realize what kind of content I was going to do for a whole other year after that. I didn't start making this VTuber show of mine until actually like a full year after being a VTuber myself.
So what did you do? You played like you just played games on
just games. We still have the highlights on the channel. If you go back and watch our oldest videos,
you keep saying we an hour. Like it's not just you that started this?
Well, I have co-hosts now, so it's shared with them too. So sometimes we'll have some of their videos on there now too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Think back 2 weeks, Dash.
What?
We had Lady on 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, no, that's fine. No, but I'm saying when he started.
Oh, right, sorry.
And so
like, you started with people, or was it just you?
Oh no, just me. And no one even in my life still knows to this day that I'm a VTuber.
Yo, same.
None of my friends and none of my family.
I'm a Rocket League streamer. Let's go.
To be fair, you've actually streamed Rocket League now, so you're getting there.
My other piece of advice, though, is just experiment. Don't just keep doing the same thing over and over and over again. Really try out different ideas for content. Stream, make shorts, make videos, and try out different ideas for videos. That's my recommendation, because it took me a good year to break out of that.
Yeah, I had a friend who he was stuck at 2,000 followers on Twitch, like 5 viewers consistently, and he never got out of that rut because he did the same thing, or he would just stop and be like, "Oh, I'm gonna change it all up," and then nothing would happen, and he'd just carry on the same thing, and it never worked.
I've always said that, like, if you're just going live, like, if this is your stream strategy, is to just hit go live, even if you're doing that 7 days a week, unless you have something about you that is genuinely unique and interesting and entertaining. And I'm just going to say, that's not 99% of us. That's not me. It's probably not you. In the VTubing scene as it is right now, it is very, very hard to be actually stand out and be unique. So unless you have a model that is so interesting that it's unique, or a talent, or you're genuinely that entertaining, if you're just hitting go live and that's it, that's your strategy, is to just keep hitting go live and streaming 8 hours a day until the end of time, it's going to be very, very hard to get off the ground. You need to supplement it with other types of content, like like making videos, making shorts, interacting with people, just other stuff. As opposed to, you can't just, I mean, it has worked. It could work if you just go live enough. Like, you might get lucky, you might hit a break, someone might raid into you. Like, it can happen. But you could also win the lottery. It's not really reliable.
Yeah.
I think as well, like, you know I don't make content right now, but, well, barely. But, like, my advice is, like, editing the basic stuff that just improves a video is not that hard. Just taking a stream, taking out a lot of dead air, taking out, like, loading parts, or just really simple stuff. You don't need to go overboard to just make a short video of a stream. Like, just to make it more interesting, just to get people in. You can just, there's free software. It takes 20 minutes to learn the simple stuff. Just go for it.
So,
what if I
another
hate it,
question,
though?
if you don't mind.
Okay.
Well,
yeah, go
then tough.
Dashie.
No, go ahead. You're blabbing your mouth, so
Oh, no,
might as well
I
let
was
you
just saying I hate
continue.
editing. Nah, I'm fine.
No, another question I'd like to ask is, like, what are your ups and downs? Like, what is the worst thing about VTubing right now that you are just like, oh, why right now?
I mean, the worst experience that I have is just the shoot the messenger kind of experience, right? Because I'm talking about other VTubers.
Right, and that goes with, like, news. So.
And again, it's one of those things where there's a certain contingent of folks out there that thinks that things shouldn't be talked about and they should be swept under the rug and things like that. Now, I think you can talk about anything, but there is a certain responsibility how you talk about things and how you present them. So that still does matter. With what we have for our shows, though, I think it's usually just kind of relaying what the actual VTubers said or did and not adding a lot of commentary to it. That's not really what we do. I think others do that, but we just leave that more so for streams and keep that out of the episodes themselves.
I was going to say,
you're not like the Alex Jones of VTubers.
I was going to say, do you struggle to stay impartial sometimes? I know on some, I've been in a few streams where you've got angry at some things, but obviously that doesn't make it into the video, clearly.
So there is this myth that apparently I've said, oh, I'm unbiased and, you're just going to get it straight. And that's absolute bull. That's absolutely not possible.
Of course,
I'm the first person to
like...
tell you that no one is unbiased.
Yep.
And so... everyone's just going to be dealing with their own biases, and so I do as well. I have to struggle with that myself. Yeah.
I do commend you and Penn for that. Like, you are very as unbiased as humans can be.
I mean,
I feel
my take is always I try and be as unbiased as possible in the short, if only because there's not much. Like, if I start giving commentary in the short and I start giving my opinions in the short, not only do I start running out of time, but also, there's not enough time to adequately explain myself in order to have people not get the wrong idea and start shouting at me for it. So that's why I do the streams, right? Is the short is for the
well, then people will start taking you to a task like what you have in the short and what you don't have in the short, and then what order you have it in. Yeah.
But in general, people,
so even that will go against.
Yes, but in general, people I've noticed tend to get a lot less angry when if I miss something, people are just like, "Oh, you missed this. What the hell?" Whereas when I say something and people disagree, I get like, centuries long comments about it. But yeah, I mean, there's no such thing as no bias. I've said this before. In that I'm not an unbiased source, right? Like, if I've like a VTuber and I follow them and I've talked to them and something shitty happens to them, I'm probably going to be kind of pissed off about it. Whereas if the same shitty thing happens to a VTuber that maybe I've seen, be kind of toxic in the past, I'm probably not going to be as, super on their side, even though realistically I should. It's just, again, I try and edit that out in the short, but especially when I'm on stream, it is so hard to stay on the ball on stream in terms of not going off on rants about things and being impartial. A lot of the time it just comes out. So
yeah, I remember a few times where you've popped off slightly in the video afterwards.
Yeah,
can't remember what it was, but
it's kind of hard. Yeah, and I agree with what you said, Foss, about the whole shooting the messenger thing. I think there's a lot of people that would really like to plug their ears and pretend like things aren't happening, and anytime anything that comes up that disrupts their idealized happy world or whatever, they tend to get very angry at whoever's telling the story, even though it is legitimately happening and it is important to talk about it. But some people just don't want to hear it, unfortunately.
Right now, on the other side, what is the thing or that has happened for you, or what do you love about doing this?
I mean, right now it really is just a hobby, and it's not like a job of mine. So it's not something that I wake up and think I have to do. So the fact that I've now done this for nearly 600 episodes just definitely tells me I'm still not burnt out. And I'm still got that flame going on.
Great.
For wanting to know more about VTubers. So it's just it's awesome because we have a Discord, and our Discord is a great place just to find out about what's happening out there without even really need to go on the Twitter, because everyone is just posting what they have.
Yeah.
Whether it be videos, whether it be tweets, whether it be have it, it's all nice and concentrated now there. So I can't thank my Discord enough for that.
Yeah, I get a few stragglers from your Discord. Falter, I think, is in both, and a lot of time the important stuff from your Discord gets posted in mine, and I'm like, thanks. I'm in your Discord as well.
That's where I came from. I came from False's Discord into yours.
Yeah, I mean,
oh wait, no, I came into your streams, then into yours.
I when I was first starting, I looked at False's Discord. It's actually where I got the idea for having my own with news channels in it. Except I kind of keep mine as just one channel, because I went to yours because you have so much more people in your Discord, False. You get so much news in there. I don't know how you filter through it all. And the news I get this in mine as well, but I think you probably get it a lot more in yours, of people who sometimes you get news where it's oh, new outfit, new costume, right? But then some people post news and it's oh my god, VTuber said funny joke on stream, and it's bro, if I cover every VTuber that says a joke on stream, we're gonna be here a while. That's not really news.
Mean, that's how it started, right? That was what Things VTuber Say started. It was literally just Iron Mouse tweeted out hentai. That was it. That was the tweet, and that was okay, I know what we're leading with. That was the first thing we ever covered for Things VTuber Say. So I think it helps to keep it a little light like that, and not just to think it has to be this eat your vegetables thing with every episode. That's why I still continue to show off artwork. I think some other content creators think that is fluff, and I disagree, because I think it's a crucial element to the actual VTuber scene. So I don't mind showing off some of that from time to time.
I mean, it helps helps foster that community.
Yeah.
Fester the community.
I mean, so I try and with my shorts, I always try and kind of have a decent balance, right? Where I'll talk about, if there's a drama, I might talk about that, but I also tend to try and talk about new debuts, new outfits, new songs, whatnot. Obviously, I don't really have time in 60 seconds to talk about jokes or funny statements on Twitter. Outside of occasionally, when Thigh Day and whatnot was going around, I had a little joke about that because I need something to end the short with. On stream though, yeah, we do tend to spend time kind of going over debuts and outfits and costumes, because I do think it is cool. It is important to, I think, shed light on the cool things VTubers are doing as opposed to just the drama all the time. Apparently Lopi made you call yourself Dogecoin.
Sounds like something that would happen. I don't recall that, but it sounds like something that happened. So
you got go. I can't have Lopi gaslit you back then, or she might be gaslighting us now. It's just kind of what she does.
But I know you earlier said you don't know how I sort through the news.
Yeah.
And the fact of the matter is we're trying to have 3 episodes a week. This week we're only going to have 2, so we're going to have a super episode, I guess. But it's 3 episodes a week. And I just break it down, so we probably start with some hololive and nijisanji, and then in another episode, some vshojo and indies, and then we cap it off with the other agencies throughout the week. And that's been an okay balance so far. We have our actual co-host. They have their own focuses. So Cody is on hololive Japan. Heidi is on those other agencies, and Lady is for indies, right? So they have their own specialties as well.
Yep.
And that generally keeps us pretty up to date. It's not always going to be like breaking news, but it's like, hey, here's what happened in the last week, and that seems to work so far.
Yeah, I guess it's the way I do it. I mean, I just have kind of myself. So because I'm doing a whole week at once, I kind of have to include everything, which does kind of make it easier than, because that seems, I guess it's the thing with your longer episodes, right? Is that you kind of have to try and cover everything, whereas.
That's the expectation. People will hold you to that. Yeah, if you do the long form content, whereas like you didn't talk about this, and it was like either we actually did and you didn't watch the episode, or we're going to talk about it in the next episode, or we're not going to talk about that.
Or it happened 20 minutes after the upload.
Oh my god, that's
why didn't we talk about this?
That also happens.
Stop announcing things on Mondays or Sunday the hour after I post my short, because then all my comments are just, oh, you're not going to talk about this, and it's like, bro, it happened after the video went out. Please.
But that's really just the wrong way to look at it anyways. It's like, well, whether we talk about it or not doesn't make it like a thing that did not or did happen, right? Like, it's not like we're not a public utility here.
Yeah.
Like, it's going to happen whether we're here or not talking about it. And we're just a YouTube channel. We're not some international organization telling you that we're going to cover every little thing that ever happened. I'm just a YouTube content creator, and there's going to be things I don't want to talk about, and we're not going to talk about it. And that's just going to have to be the way it is.
Yep.
Unless you yourself do it yourself. And that's kind of my comeback, I think, more so lately, which is if you have a problem with it, try it out yourself. Yeah, we make it look easy. It's not.
I've had that response a lot of like, I'm not a journalist. I'm not like, we call ourselves quote unquote news, but we're not like really, news sources or anything. We're more collectors. We just kind of curate it and give it to people as content. But I'm seeing did Lady raid from Twitch to YouTube?
I think Lady just told everyone to come over here.
Her power is too much. She's managed to breach the platforms.
Manual raiding.
She's breached containment.
Oh God, we thought we were safe on YouTube.
Throw the clown body pillows in the opposite direction.
Oh God, yeah. But I can't even remember what we're saying anymore.
Yes.
Well, just kind of the whole definition of like news.
Yeah, right.
Like I never even started off like, I'm going to cover news. It was just like, oh, no, I'm just gonna like take a look at like things VTubers say. But the thing is, in early 2021, VTubers started doing things, big things, right? They started holding concerts, they started getting sponsorships, they started getting on the radar on television, and of course we want to talk about that too. And all of a sudden we turned from a kind of a collection of just things VTubers are saying into like suddenly people are calling us the VTuber news. Never call myself a journalist. Hell no.
No.
Oh, really?
Not doing that.
Nope.
No.
Can I ask why? Why you don't consider yourself?
Because when you do that, people hold you to a standard that is almost impossible to upkeep in this community. If the moment you call yourself a journalist, a bunch of people then use that and be like, "Oh, but you did this." It's not. Even though in reality, if you look
journalists also in the year of 2023 are not held in high regard.
I was going to say that.
I mean,
in the current year, when you look at like actual articles published by actual journalists, it's like, okay, it's actually worse than VTuber drama. Which,
if you keep up with independent journalists, I think they're fairly on par. They're fairly decent. But yeah, like agency journalists are fucked.
I remember seeing a sentiment of like. In my comments sometimes of people asking like why channels like ours need to exist and whatnot, and I think ultimately kind of the reason we do it is just because there's a lot of people that just don't have time or aren't as dialed in, and they just want to know kind of what was going on. That's literally it. We're not trying to like have some agenda or be the authority on news or be some big bad journalist. We literally are just trying to like, I mean, that's literally why I start every single short is like, here's what happened. That's just what I'm trying to tell you is like, here's the kind of stuff that happened if you find it interesting. And if you do, you can go and look it up. That's literally it. But
I think as a lot of people miss the whole, like, you know, sometimes I'll just sit down and watch one of your videos, False, just to barely even care about the news, but just to watch watch it. Just like, it's content. It's entertainment at the end of the day.
Yeah, and you know that question comes up is like, well, why would I ever watch a VTuber news? Well, I don't know. Maybe you don't, but if you can tell, like 100,000 other people do usually a video now for us.
Yeah.
So there is, you know, some kind of audience there, and that could be said for so much other stuff, right? Like, why would anyone watch this? Why would anyone watch that?
It's
Well, why is how it's made like a TV show? You know what I mean? Like,
you know, maybe folks are just maybe not as, you know, dialed in, or dare I say, terminally online, as maybe other individuals are that think they know everything.
Yeah,
They don't.
I think
it's impossible to know everything.
You generally you get that sentiment the more like I've personally, again, I've seen that sentiment a lot on like the subreddit for it, where I think it's just a thing where people that are already kind of dialed into VTubing and already spend a lot of time like thinking about it and following it, like to them, maybe it's weird to follow a news channel and be like, instead of just following the VTubers you're interested in. But I think there's, I mean, you're right, like 100,000 people watch all of your episodes. So yeah, there's a very large demographic of people that are interested enough in VTubing to care about it, but not like enough to follow every VTuber on Twitter and keep up with everything that's always happening. So
it's a good point. Yeah. Maybe if they're on like a site like that, they are just a little bit more in tune. They're actively seeking that kind of information out. I'll also say, like, as far as the current subreddits go out, they've been kind of really honed to be anti our content.
Yes.
The moderation is very much not a fan of our content. So they're probably not very much fans of any kind of VTuber commentary that's kind of outside of their sphere and something they can moderate. So that's an issue. But also, I took a peek and it's like, I know that name, you got banned months ago. I know that name, you were banned months ago. They have an axe to grind, and they're terrible people actually, but they're just not banned there yet. So
well, the VTuber subreddit currently is basically just self-promotion for the most part. It's like 90% self-promotion.
I don't even really recommend that though, because what we find is maybe live streaming, maybe self-promoting on live streams, but if you're promoting videos, your watch time is terrible. It's a really big problem if you're ever on Reddit and you have your video take off, which is the watch time just drowns itself and could hurt your video actually, because people click through, they don't know what it is yet, and they're actually not the audience. They haven't been recommended from YouTube who does know you.
Yeah.
And they try it out, they see it's not it, and they click off, and all of a sudden that's really bad for the video. That's really, really bad. So I promoted maybe 3 of my earliest videos on there and just stopped once I saw that immediately.
I did the same, I think. I actually went there when I was first starting out for like ideas for VTubers to feature in my first like experience vid. And then I posted a video there and like nothing happened. I was like, you know what, I'm just going to do it on my own outside of here anyway. Because when I asked as well, I was like, hey, do you have any recommendations? And 90%, like they were just people recommending themselves. And I was like, okay.
Yeah.
Put me in it.
It's, there's, I don't know. I guess there's just an aspect of the VTubing community that is so determined to be positive that they don't like any sort of, commentary.
To the point where it comes back around and then negative.
Yeah.
So this is why I go to VT, where it's all negative.
No, please don't. Not the anonymous hacker known as 4chan.
I mean, that's one thing I'll always say about 4chan is like, it's always so in your face about the stuff that you don't like. There's no getting away with it, so you don't end up being like, oh, that's something I don't like, please keep it away from me. You're kind of
you just end up being an asshole.
Yeah, not necessarily. I mean, that does happen. I won't say it doesn't, but I don't know.
Where
I feel so out of place here. Let's just point it out. Let's just do it.
Oh, Dashie, you have questions, right? Have you finished your questions?
Let me see. How did you guys meet or get together? Like, what made you go, hey, you're cool?
False actually noticed me like really early on, when I was first kind of starting out doing the news side of content. I can't remember who told me, someone told me, it was like, oh, False talked about you on stream, and I was like, oh, that's kind of cool, because False was like, again, a big inspiration for my content was like seeing False doing it and being like, oh, there's people that want to know stuff, and I know stuff, so I'll just cover it. So someone talked about it, and I looked it up, and I knew of False obviously since I started making content, and I guess he probably got it through the shorts algorithm, because that's what saved what is the main driving force of my channel. I can't remember when we first spoke to each other, False, though.
Yeah, I don't recall. Yeah, I just think YouTube just smashed us together, understandably, and I try to be aware of people who are kind of in the same sphere as to what I'm creating, right? And just kind of make aware of what they do. And I think earlier on I was kind of very judgmental and thinking like, oh, it has to be my way a little bit. But I've certainly like stepped back a little bit from that and just kind of understood, no, people are just gonna have to find their own audience, and we probably should not continue to like compare each other.
Yeah.
I think our channels are all quite different from each other as to what we actually
we kind of
now.
offer different things, right? Like in terms of short versus long form. I just look back, it was over a year ago, our first DM, which feels weird. It doesn't feel like it's been that long, but it has. It was when you spoke about me on your thing, and I think it was about shorts, like ad revenue, and you were curious about like the sort of the ad revenue you get from like my melody short, which had like 1 million views at the time, and then I reached out and I shared the analytics with you, and then we went from there. So yeah, that was interesting as well. That was the first time really that I had like spoken to another creator with regards to like the analytics side of YouTube, and it was kind of interesting to get the info on long
Are you
form.
seeing this? Because I'm seeing this. Yeah, it's like very it feels like all of a sudden you've been on a planet all on your own, and you get like a radio wave transmission from someone else all of a sudden.
That's kind of cute, not gonna lie. That's adorable.
Yeah, I mean, it's I think it is, because we're in a niche within a niche, you know? Like, so in terms of other content creators that make our kind of content, it's kind of limited, and then that make our kind of content with regard, like, in a similar enough way that comparing analytics is even, interesting or even useful. It's pretty rare, because obviously I can't compare my shorts to, like, I don't know, Lopez or Rins or whatnot, because it's a completely different style of content as to what people are looking for it. So yeah, it was cool to kind of speak to someone else in this scene, because up until that point I'd kind of just done I was kind of just like doing whatever I thought was right. I had no clue what the hell was going on though.
Right.
But yeah, that was that's how we met.
It's like he's sort of your senpai then. That's kind of cool.
I guess so. If we're doing hololive JP
we are doing
standards.
Well, we're weeb, so that's
we
how,
are weebs.
that's how. Yeah. And that's another question I'd like to ask: are you a weeb? Like, meaning, are you actively watching anime? Like, not literally right now, but like, what anime are you watching? If so.
Yeah, so that was my 2020. I actually stepped back from VTubing a little bit and just read like manga nonstop throughout a lot of the lockdown, actually, and didn't get back into VTubing a little bit until later into the year. But right now, watching Farron, can't recommend that enough.
Yes.
It is
I read that.
so good. So
I started watching that, and I'm sorry, it got really boring the first couple episodes.
Dashie, no.
Are you talking about the
How could
manga?
you?
No, you're talking about. Sorry, like I don't know what you want me to do. I'm being
False
honest
is just
over
gonna
here.
leave now. False is just like, alright, bye. I'm
Which
out.
one is that again?
Rerun. It's about the elf woman.
Oh,
that's
the
like
cute elf that I see
immortal
posted
and
literally everywhere.
yeah.
yes,
Okay, cool.
yes.
It's so
It
good.
actually just I think yesterday overtook for one day
Full
Full
Metal.
Metal
Yeah.
Alchemist Brotherhood on
Oh wait, it's on Mao. Okay,
Mal.
Mhm.
No.
And
then-
that won't last.
Yeah, no,
They
because
don't allow
they
that.
will not let
yeah.
that slide.
The Brotherhood Sims will come out.
Hey,
the
like I
woodwork.
said, I maybe I was tired. I hadn't slept for 3 days. Maybe I'll give it another chance. But like 2 episodes, I was like, oh. And normally I give it like a good go. So
I
I'll
read
try
the
again.
manga. Like this always happens. We spoke
Same.
about this a bit to Lady. I think we spoke with Lady about this a while when she was on. But every time I read a manga, it immediately gets an anime adaptation. I don't know if like anime god
They all
is.
do now.
That's
It's
your
kind of
power.
ridiculous, actually.
I think it's probably
like,
just because Yeah, I don't read as much manga, which means I tend to read the ones that are very highly recommended and popular. So generally, by the time I read them, they're then getting an anime adaptation. But yeah, Free Run, I would recommend Free Run. I like reading manga.
Easy recommend.
Yeah.
Is the oh sorry, go
I
on.
was say, do you prefer manga or anime? Like you
Manga, because firstly the story is there first, so you don't have to wait around as much, and I like my own kind of pacing with it. So I also don't. I just think you don't get like the quality of adaptation that you have with Frieren. So Frieren, at least right now, you can make an argument is a step above because not only of its pacing but its presentation, the music, the animation. And unfortunately, just not as many adaptations are to that level. They're pretty high quality in most cases, but yeah, I'm more of a manga reader. It's just a little more bite-sized for me.
I'm the same. For me, it's I don't know what happened. Like when I was in high school, I was very much on the watching anime all the time kind of trend. Something happened where now I don't have the I don't know if it's the willpower or the whatever to like start at what I know is a 20-minute episode and sit down and watch something for 20 minutes. Whereas it's so much easier for me to just like bring out a manga or like on my phone and just read it at whatever pace I want and then put it down whenever I'm done and then pick it back up whenever I want, as opposed to having to commit to 20-minute segments whenever I like need to.
The funny thing is, it's kind of the opposite for so many other people, right? It's like I don't have to read; it just it runs at its own pace, and I can just lay back and watch.
So I've found this a lot recently. Is that I don't know if it's my TikTok brain kicking in. I'm too zoomer, but I find that shows and movies and whatnot, they're so slow now, where it's just there's so much dead air, and it's like when you're reading, you can just like you can read so much faster. Like if you've ever like compared a manga to an anime adaptation, you go through it, you can get through an anime episode in probably like 5 minutes in a manga with reading, whereas because in the anime there's establishing shots and it has like panning, and I get that adds to the atmosphere. I'm not dunking on it or saying it's bad, but
sometimes it adds, but sometimes it's really just not a part of the presentation, right? Like Frieren, actually, that is a part of the presentation. It's about like getting into the world. You're supposed to take your time with it. So it's not surprising that it comes across as a little slow at first, because that's actually kind of what it's trying to do. And that's the central part of it. But otherwise, it's kind of like you're just in other shows for anime, it feels like you're kind of going through the motions.
Yeah, it's just kind of dead air. But yeah,
Okay, but has there ever been
Freeren's whole thing is the passage of time. Yeah, go Dashie.
Has there ever been an adaptation that's better than the manga?
Full Metal Brotherhood, probably.
Yeah, Full Metal. Hellsing, I'd say. Maybe.
I'm trying to think. I'd say Kaguya was actually better and a better adaptation than the manga. I think the voice acting.
False? Are you thinking or what? Or are you saying
see actually in the chat, Demon Slayer.
Demon Slayer is the prime example of it. Yeah,
right.
That's a really good one. I like, but I'm a fan of things like Ghost in the Shell, which is nothing like the manga, right? Like it's totally different. So that's what makes me watch, because it's like, oh, this doesn't have an analog to it at all.
The other one,
I have to watch this.
One Punch Man is another one.
Yes. False, do you have a preference for which Ghost in the Shell is your favorite?
Probably Standalone Complex in the end.
Yeah,
in the end,
that makes sense.
It's got it's like the all around feel of like the seriousness of the movies with kind of some of the more wacky stuff from the manga.
Oh, A Silent Voice was also really, really, really good as an adaptation. Did you ever watch The Silent Voice, folks?
Yeah, I read it beforehand, and it's missing kind of a story arc that I didn't mind was missing actually from the film itself. So I did feel it was a good adaptation. Yeah.
Yeah, it was probably one of my favorite anime movies of all time. I think the other one, Grave of the Firefly, that's an old movie. Well, it's not old, but it's a pretty, I think it's pretty niche. Is it Grave of the Fireflies, or is it, no, it's not Grave of the Fire, what is it? I can't remember what it's called.
Grave of the Fireflies is the one
that's a really
with tears. That's the one with tears.
That's the one. You would remember if it was Grave of the Fireflies.
Yeah, you would remember if it was Grave, exactly.
What was it about? What are you thinking of?
It was it's about this like guy who he's like I don't know what he is. He's like a mythical creature kind of thing, where he can't touch people or he'll disappear. And
yeah, that's definitely not Grave of the Fireflies.
What is it called?
Chat, help us. What is this?
Oh, To the Forest of the Fireflies, I think it's called. But that was I watched that ages
Uh,
ago. It's not a very well known movie, I'd say, but I did watch it. It was pretty cool.
Alright.
I got way too obsessed with an anime film called Belle. I know
I've never
Tom
seen it.
Katsu got obsessed with it as well.
Yeah, that was a good one too.
I went to the cinema like 5 times to see it.
Oh,
I
God.
think.
It was stunning, absolutely.
Yes, that was very much the visuals.
Someone in chat
character,
said
like,
High School of
made
the
it.
Dead.
Yes.
I mean, you're not
Yes.
wrong. He's out of line, but he's right.
It's a masterpiece. Like,
Why would you say something so controversial yet right?
Yeah, unfortunately for me and Belle, I ended up watching like a bootleg in a VR chat
Oh,
world with some
yeah.
folks, and
Ooh.
I was just so stressed at the time. I
Oh,
could
no.
not focus on the
Oh.
film and give it its due. It's
Mm.
really unfortunate when that happens, right? When it's like,
yeah.
man, I want to be here and just enjoying myself, and I just cannot do it, and I'm not giving the anime or movie or a show or anything like its due, and that was one of
Yeah,
those
when you-
instances for me.
I've had a few shows
So there
like
you
that
go.
where
We have a deal. You have to check out Belle again, and I'll check out Farron. Okay.
I like
There,
it.
deal.
Yeah, I actually do want to do that.
Your
yeah.
homework assignment
All right.
is
It's gotta be
there.
like pristine 4K though, all right?
Right.
Is there any? Is there any?
you got to
anime
rent out a theater.
You've like watched that? Wasn't bad, but was just so mid. You ever seen like? Because I just remembered when we were talking about anime, I was trying to think of what the Fireflies one was. I remember watching an anime called Glass Slip. You will not have seen it.
Glass Slip.
It is the most
Glass
mid.
Slip?
It is the only show I've ever watched where I was like, I would actively rather bash my head against a wall than watch the rest of this. Not because it's bad. I think when a show is bad, it can be interesting, and you're like, okay, this is kind of funny.
Yeah.
That show was the most boring. Okay, have you guys seen
Boring, yeah.
Haruhi?
Of
Mhm.
course,
Haruhi
yeah.
Suzumiya.
You know,
It is
you
my
know the
favorite.
you know the 8 days of summer. What's the arc called?
Endless 8.
Endless 8. That's one. You know that whole arc is like that, but forever is that level of boring. That's the whole show. Is that you know how most
But
people
forever.
skip through those episodes because they're like, okay, I get it. I'm going to skip to the end. I don't need to see every like repeat. It's like that for the entirety of Glass Slip, except it never gets more interesting. It is.
So I think a lot of the problem with anime is everything just is like, let's throw everything up against the wall and see what sticks, right? Like, there doesn't seem to be much of a through line in so many of these shows. And so they go really off the rails pretty quickly in many cases where they're just trying to stay relevant in the manga. And all of a sudden they have an anime backing them too. And it's like, what is going on here? There's just been so many... I don't know. You know, I actually am going to go out and maybe say one controversial thing. I think Japanese authors have problems with endings.
Yes.
I think it's kind of a meme at this point where you know, Japanese authors, mangaka can't into ending is the way they mean
Wait,
it,
you
right?
don't want to see the story of Boruto, Naruto's 17th son?
That's just it can't end. I'm
Yeah,
saying
yeah, I
like
think
when
that's
it does
more-
end, it's like what was that, right? Like
Yeah.
Boruto's
they-
more let's not turn off the money printer.
right. Like we get that, we understand that, but everything's like locked into that.
Okay, it's
But
like,
we're talking like
Do you remember Darling in the Franxx? Did you ever watch that?
that was
Fox?
one of the. That was what I was going to say. Was like my mid, so mid it
It was by
hurt.
Trigger. Have you ever seen that, folks?
No. It was half by Trigger. I will defend them.
Because
A1
I was
Pictures also did it.
interested in that show for the first half.
Episodes.
Yeah, it was like 15 episodes. I think
And
the
then
first
after
7
that,
or
it
8,
just-
and then it just goes. Why?
Mm.
Why? Trigger, stop going into space. Not everything
no,
has
no.
to be aliens.
No, you want to know the fun part about that? The first half was done by Trigger. The second half was done by A1. I think.
Yeah, that checks it. What's your favorite anime of all time, folks?
it is Haruhi. It's
Oh,
Haruhi.
oh,
actually.
really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Like it's just that right mixture of like sci-fi
Mm.
and comedy. And I've
It's
read
the one you just shit
light
on.
novels.
So yeah.
I don't shut up. Haruhi's great. It's just you're not
I
really
mean, I
meant.
just shit on.
You're not really meant to
Far Free-
watch the entirety of the Endless 8
Fire?
arc. I think you'd actually.
And
go
I
insane.
did.
Did you
and
watch the
I-
entire?
Yeah, I did. I forced myself. It was like one a day. I could only like watch one episode a day, and then I'd have to like shut myself off from it. And
Okay,
it,
I have.
it was an
what's-
endurance run.
What's your anime guilty pleasure that you know you shouldn't like it, but you're like, okay?
Ooh, that's a
Because
good
for me, it'd be
question.
Bleach. Bleach is trash, but I still love it. and hate it, but I love it.
My anime?
See, for me, there's no such thing as a guilty pleasure. If you want to watch it, you watch it, and why should you feel guilty? Meh.
Well,
Not
a
so
guilty
much, more
pleasure is
that you
something that you
know-
acknowledge is kind of objectively bad, but you're still like,
Yeah.
like
Sure. Yeah, no, I know that it's more like a popular term.
What
Like
is
watching pen streams.
Yeah.
I know it's bad, but like,
You can't get away. You're contractually
Yeah.
obligated to watch me. Actually, I'm trying to think, like, what a guilty pleasure anime, something that, like, I think most things I don't tend to watch mid shows. I know it comes across as very elitist, but if something's that like boring, I won't watch it. If something's exciting, I'll watch it, but then I wouldn't consider it a guilty pleasure.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I could say like there's like what is a show that I like maybe a show you wouldn't recommend, but you do watch, right?
Mm.
Like maybe something like that.
Let me hang. I'm not gonna show it on stream, but I'm gonna bring up my mal really quick and see just to get it. I'm gonna see what I ranked as like a 10 that I don't think I should have ranked as a 10, and that will
Sure,
probably be my
sure.
guilty pleasure. Where is
I
it?
mean, it's like Panty and Stocking is my favorite anime, but I would recommend it to very few people. It is so niche that I wouldn't recommend people go and watch it.
Well, for most
Alternatively, like something like Agretsuko, right? Like which is like very Sanrio inspired and is like very, very much about like
That
work
shit's awesome,
culture.
I've heard good
That's
things
like-
about that though.
Yeah.
It's
Mhm.
just not something I would like immediately like recommend to just anyone.
Yeah,
But
right.
it's not because I'm ashamed of watching it. It's just like it's very, very like focused
Particular
on what
almost?
it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
very anime.
Apparently, it did terribly in Japan. Like, apparently, they basically just make it for the West now because it was too real. And
Yeah.
like the Japanese
Yeah.
audience
Mm.
did not like it.
There's nothing
Which I
here I'd
find
consider
hilarious.
a guilty pleasure. Let's
What is
see.
your top 3 on Mal, Pen? What are you on?
So the ones I've ranked as a 10 are Steins Gate. You just laugh at Steins Gate. How
Yeah,
fucking
what was
dare you?
that? What was that
No,
noise?
it's just predictable. Just,
Steins Gate's such a good fucking show.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying it's not, just-
Hyoka, which I don't think. I imagine most of you probably haven't seen Hyoka. I love Hyoka.
No.
It's been a while. It's been a while.
A Silent Voice is also up there. And apparently I ranked Attack on Titan Season 3 Part 2 a 10, which I don't think I agree with. I don't know why I did that.
Hot take, I don't like Attack on Titan.
I fell
Yeah,
off. I
agreed.
fell off of it.
Yeah.
I think it was the last season I watched, and then they just were like, this is the final part. No, this is the final part. And I was like, actually, I don't care anymore.
Final part 3.
It kind of jumped.
And I don't mean to be like contrary to that. I've just never
No?
liked it. I do agree. Like it definitely went mainstream, but the thing is like I never needed anime to be mainstream.
Yeah.
Like I'm fine with anime being niche from time to time, actually, and just being like our thing. But that's okay. That's all right. I'll be the gatekeeper on that.
For me, Attack on Titan did a thing that I don't like it when shows do, which is, I don't know if you want to call it like jumping the shark or whatever, but it's when something happens that broadens the story and the world to such an extent that it makes everything kind of seem too small and redundant and like big. And a story that was very interesting in a world that was very big, interesting goes from like normal, routine episodes where you understand what's going on to, oh my god, and now this thing's happening, and then, oh my god, and this reveal and that, and it did it too quick to the point where I just kind of lost interest. Like I liked it when the story was like they're in the walls, there's a Titans on the outside of the walls, there's a story, maybe you find out what happened to the Titans, you get rid of them, whatever. I liked that. I thought it was cool, and then it just kept going, and it kept being, no, there's actually a world beyond that, and then there's this secret and that secret, and I kind of was just like, okay, it's too far, I'm not interested anymore, which I know is a hot take.
That's the thing.
Attack on Titan is
Yeah.
very popular.
For me, right off the bat, it was too contrived. Like when I knew that it was like this ugly looking manga, like with even uglier looking zombies in it, right? Like, okay, so at the core
No,
of it,
it's a flesh mecha. It's a flesh mecha. That's what it is.
it's a zombie. Okay, like so let's try to explain this to a normal person. Okay, it's this it's this zombie story, but the zombies are actually also giants. But it's not during modern times. It's during like another time in the past, but it's also not like our past. But and
It's a mecha.
the way to actually
You
take
control
out the
it.
zombies is through their head. But you can't do it through like normal guns and stuff. You gotta like use this crazy Spider-Man stuff. And then there's this basement, and it's too
Yeah, so
contrived.
so
it's too much.
I think the difference between you and me was our cutoff point was slightly different. You cut it off there. I liked that part up until that point, but then it just keeps going. Like
And for a lot of people, like this worked for a lot of people. It is different. It's novel. It's different that way. Like I can't deny that. Absolutely.
Just I don't know. Every season though, it just keeps being it keeps up that thing of like but, and so like every time you get to the end of one mystery, it's like but there's more, and it's like this is probably a hot take, but I think I'd have liked Attack on Titan if it wrapped up around like if they'd cut out the entire like end bit when they get past the walls and they beat the Titans and they get to the sea. If they just ended it there and they had like a thing about them wrapping it up and killing Titans, I'd probably liked it better. But then it just kind of kept going, and I was like, oh, whatever.
I hate those sort of.
By the way, I found my guilty pleasure.
Oh no, what is it?
It's actually I actually went back and rewatched this recently. It's very uncomfortable because it's one specific character, but No Game No Life. Yeah,
oh, fuck.
That's definitely a guilty pleasure. I love the coloring.
Why is that good? Because everything I see about it does not make me want to watch it.
Not. So first of all, I watched this. I think I watched No Game in Life when I was 11, just to excuse my initial. I thought it was great when I was 11.
Okay.
I remember thinking that Sora, because Sora was 18. And I remember at the time being like, man, he's so old. Because at that point, most of the shows I watched, like the main protagonists in anime are always like 14, 15, 16. Which to me, I was like, okay, I'm almost there. And then Sora was like 18. And I was like, oh, he's ancient. He's an adult. And now I'm like, man, fucking hell. Sora's a little baby boy. But yeah, it's definitely awkward, especially with the shit regarding Shiro. I kind of don't like that aspect of it. But it's so colorful and it's pretty. And the world is cool, and you get just generic anime things of them beating, like, it has the high school DxD problem for me, right? Which is an interesting world with a potentially interesting story to be told that is just ruined because the author was really, really horny. And it's just, I don't like that in my shows. But 11, 13-year-old me was all for that shit, so I don't know. But yeah, that's definitely, if you were to ask me for a guilty pleasure anime, one where I'm like, oh, I liked it, but I wouldn't tell people I liked it, it's probably that. What about you? Actually, Dashie, what's your guilty pleasure? Do you have one?
Actually, I was just about to say that I do have to go.
Oh,
It's
okay.
been.
Oh, do you?
I'm just so sorry. Like,
yeah. It's all right.
I was invited to
It's a
actually
day.
go eat some food for free.
It's a holiday.
So I wasn't expecting to actually
Thanksgiving moment.
get some food. I was just waiting to be around. But like, sorry to do this to you guys, but turkey's turkey, okay? And not gonna lie, I kind of do feel like a little awkward here because I don't know shit. Of course, now we're talking about anime, and of course that's when I have to leave.
We planned it just right, boys.
False, it was awesome meeting you. Come back for more anime talk, maybe, okay? Maybe take a break from what you do and come talk to
Things
about
weebs
some
say.
anime.
The new expansion to TVS that we've all been waiting for. Just hot
that's
anime
my
takes
time, guys.
constantly.
Oh, fuck.
Ah.
what have I done?
We'll see
All
you
right,
later,
so
Dashie.
I'm gonna run. Thank you so much. Food. Love you. All right.
Bye,
Bye,
Dash.
guys.
Bye, Dashie.
And then there were 3. That's just Trash Taste. You're not wrong. That is. Do you guys see? I saw the controversy regarding that Trash Taste episode. Did you see that,
Oh,
folks?
what have they done
I
now?
did.
It was kind of
Yeah,
funny.
I
People
did.
got so mad about an anime podcast.
They were very angry. Yeah.
Wait, what
It is the
did
kind of thing
people get
sometimes you
angry
step
at?
back and you're like, man, how are you that emotionally involved in that? Like, so Trash Taste did an episode on like they called it like the most popular anime just ended, right?
Right,
Where it was
right.
basically about the ending of Attack on Titan because Attack on Titan ended, and Garn watched it and had a lot to say about it. Connor,
Mhm.
I think, watched it but wasn't super thrilled about it and had a lot of nitpicks. Joy just didn't watch it and spent the entire episode kind of nitpicking about the naming convention, which was a valid point the first time, but he kind of kept bringing it up. And so
I see.
to me, I was like, okay, it's whatever. I'm not too super bothered. I just didn't like once I realized where the conversation was going, I just clicked off and I was like, okay, whatever. But bro, the comments and the subreddit was wild about it. Like, you'd have thought Joey the anime man had personally come and shot their puppy or something. Like, the level of vitriol that people were speaking about him with and was absurd. It's the classic internet thing, right? Of like, even when what you've done is like objectively like minor, like, oh my god, he didn't watch an episode of an anime, how dare he? Like, people still take it to like the extremes and are like, nah, he's the worst, he's a terrible human being, he takes his fans for granted, and it's like, okay,
I mean,
dog,
to be
shit.
fair, those two get blasted so much. Like, do you remember when I think he was when he was with an interview with Iron Mouse where he was like, people getting really expensive models
I
but having
remember
no personality, and he got fucking so much shit for that. It's like, it's true, it's fucking true.
Instead of his
Get a
line, but he's right.
personality, please. And,
Yeah,
like, when-
so I think with something like that, with Trash Taste is like a friendship simulator,
Mhm.
right? Like that's what a lot of podcasts sometimes turn out to be for folks, which is like, I just want to listen to like-minded people, or if they're not like-minded, they have some really off-the-wall things to listen to, right?
Mm.
And I think Trash Taste for a lot of people during the lockdown especially became that. And they weren't always about anime, right? So, when they're actually talking about anime, it's kind of something special for, I think, a part of their audience.
Mhm.
And it's a really popular series. There's a lot of people that just absolutely love the series and they want it to be respected. And that was not what happened here.
Yes.
It was
Yeah.
literally a topic that was decided 5 minutes before they started recording, which is fine. And it just so turns out, like, one of them didn't have much to say, one of them didn't watch it, and one of them had a lot to say. So it was totally uneven between the three that way,
Yeah.
too.
I agreed with the criticism, to be fair. Like, I do think if you're going to do a podcast about a show, you can at least spend hour or two to
Yeah,
watch
maybe.
the
Right,
episode.
right.
That was
It's
a
like
lot of the
2
comments
hours,
was
and it's
like,
like, well, wait a second. What are you asking us to watch here again?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
It's,
understandable.
I did actually agree with the base criticism of, like, if you're going to do an episode of a podcast about an anime and it's going to be 2 hours long and you're asking your fans to kind of sit and watch a 2 hour podcast, the least you can do is watch 2 hours of anime to prepare for it. Like, again, I think I did see something on the subreddit was like, can you imagine if your only job in a day was to watch 2 hours of anime to prepare for a podcast and you didn't do it? So there was some criticisms that I agreed with of, like, sometimes the Trash Taste Boys, maybe they phone it in a little bit.
Yeah, it's going to happen. I mean,
But they've made so many episodes.
Yeah.
they have. And unfortunately, it just will happen. Is the unfortunate thing is I've seen other instances of podcasts I follow where it's like, are they falling off? Because it happens.
Yes.
It's just like they just become disinterested. They're just done. They're burnt out, and it's really sad to see, but it happens. And this is like one of those indicators where it's like, as much as I just want to be like, chill with this and be like, everyone's off for one day, it pretends to bigger things.
Yes.
Unfortunately,
I agreed with the criticism. It's absurd to me, the level of, it's not the criticism that bothered me.
it's a really beloved series.
It's
a really loved series, and people really wanted to talk and hear. People want to hear their own opinion said back to them, basically.
Yeah.
So if you don't also agree that it's good or you didn't watch it, then you're basically irrelevant. But
because that was it. It was like even Connor, who had watched it and didn't have much to say about it, and it wasn't too hot about it. That was being trashed on too. Yeah,
which I think is kind of an issue, right? Like, because if you're watching a podcast, surely you want to hear different opinions, but a lot of people just don't.
No, I actually just want to hear my own opinion back to me. But
see, I like just hearing different opinions about things. Like, although if they're too different, yes, it annoys me. Like,
it's nice being challenged when you don't know you're being challenged.
Yes.
Actually, like when a good presenter will actually expand your mind without you like feeling like you're being like singled out or you're being like challenged in such a very like overt way. Yeah.
One of the things is like, if one of my favorite things is watching like a video essay about something that I like and then realizing why I like it subconsciously and having that put into words so I can kind of go, oh yeah, that is good.
You can articulate.
And that's kind of why I did like those video essays on anime, which is weirdly enough probably going to be my most popular video on my channel, which I don't know if I'm a big fan of.
Quick, delete it before it gets to.
I don't know. It's kind of weird.
I mean, I think this year more than like movies, more than shows or anime or any of that stuff, and probably in equal amounts to VTuber streams. Yeah, I'm just watching like video essays on YouTube now.
Yeah,
they've definitely got me in that algorithm big time.
They're just, I think again, it's because of like video essays are, there's no dead air in them. Like I said with with anime. I think, again, I don't know if it's a victim of, again, the TikTok Zoomer brain or whatever, of like needing constant stimulation, but I think with like a YouTube video or an essay, the person is constantly speaking, constantly adding new information, and you're constantly, it's like a constant roller coaster. You don't have to go through the, you know, the anime story arc where you start off slow and then it ramps up and then it slows down. You're just constantly going.
And may not pay off.
Yeah. Whereas in video essays, you're basically condensing an entire like saga of whatever it is you're watching into like 30 minutes, 2 hours, whatever. And it's constantly interesting, which is why I like it. And it's also something you can have on in the background. And for me, that's big as well, because a lot of time I want to be doing something on my main monitor, but I also want something in the background to watch. I can't be an anime because I need to pay attention to that, because I need to know what the hell's going on, because it's a continuous story. But if I have a video essay on the background, I can kind of keep an ear out and kind of get the gist. And then if something big happens, I can turn my head 45 degrees and then turn back when it's kind of slowed down again.
I think that's where, like, if you guys watch him, I don't know, like Internet Historian, when he turned from like 10-minute kind of meme videos to like big essays on big topics, he was like, wow, yeah, these are, you know, they're really good edited, they're really informed, and it's just interesting.
My vice is watching like 2-hour-long video essays about a YouTuber I've never heard of and don't care about, but like it pops up on my sideline and I'm like, fuck it, I'll watch that, why not?
That was the weirdest trash taste episode for me. I don't know if we ever mentioned that, but because they just brought on a YouTuber like that who did nothing but talk about
Chris Chan guy.
Chris Chan.
Yes.
And I was like,
oh,
what?
That episode,
Yes.
Yeah, that was.
I was like,
weirdly
huh?
left
Is that the
field.
whole episode? Is this all this guy is talking about? He talked about nothing about himself, nothing about the trash taste voice. He was just talking about Chris Chan the entire podcast. It was so odd, and they'd done nothing like that before. Yeah, that was strange.
That guy has like other channels and stuff that he has loads of other interesting stuff on as well. But no, they just focused on that. Yeah.
This hyperfixation of the week, Chris Chan.
Yeah. Is there any Is there any other big podcasts that you've kind of follow, False?
Sometimes I watch Castle Super Beast, so they're more like game orientated. Yeah, but I was always a big like two best friends play and super best friends play friend after that. So yeah, that's just kind of born out of all that.
Yep, I agree. I honestly, podcasts for me have not been like. I watch some trash taste. Podcasts have never been the thing I tune into, which I know is kind of an ironic thing to say on a podcast.
Yeah, I mean, podcasts are really shit.
Yeah, they're so cringe, man. Imagine having a podcast.
Imagine being one.
What are we doing here?
Should be me, bro.
What am I wasting? I'm sorry, everyone. We wasted your time today.
Go watch a video essay. God, do something productive with your time. Go watch a video essay and play Minecraft on your main monitor like a normal Zoomer. Come on. But yeah, for me, it's always been stuff like that, or it'll be. I've been watching Critical Role a lot on my second monitor now, just following along with that, because there's like 300 episodes of Critical Role, and it's like.
So do you play Dungeons and Dragons, or do you? Are you into that?
Don't. I'm into Dungeons. I have all the books. I've read all the books. They're very interesting. I don't play though. I've had people offer to DM, and I'm probably going to take one of them up on it.
So what do you think of Baldur's Gate 3 now that you're actually playing it with others?
It's
like
very fun.
What are you thinking?
Lopi keeps running into rooms and immediately getting traps, and I'm the rogue.
Yeah.
So I'm the rogue, right? So my job is to go around lockpicking things and disarming stuff. But what ends up happening is everyone else runs into all the traps. So by the time I get there, all the traps are already triggered, and I'm like, okay, well, why have a lockpick when you have a barbarian to run through the fire for you? I lost my eye. That was fun. Except it wasn't. I now have disadvantage. I had 3 people in the call being like, do it, fucking do it. And then I did it and I lost a fucking eye.
That
and I was
the
like,
epitome of peer pressure.
Yeah, like a very obviously evil woman is like, I'm going to take your eye. And I was like, I don't think I'll do that. And then I had the voice of Punka fucking Lopi in my ear being like, you should do it. Sounds like a good idea. I don't know, bro. That sounds like a good idea to me. It sounds like a great plan. And then I did it and I lost an eye and I was like, I don't know what I expected. Yeah, it's fun though. I think it's taken a lot of the stuff I didn't like about the initial playthrough of Baldur's Gate, like the constant having to stop and loot and talk to everyone and do everything and go everywhere. Like, because what ends up happening is we split off and they all go loot something and I go do one thing and then we get back together for the important stuff. So it cuts down a lot of the tedium of like having to open every container and loot, because there's 4 of us and I can focus on shooting 5 times with my ranger, which is very fun. So I am doing a solo playthrough now as well. It got me hooked, so I'm doing a solo playthrough in conjunction with my multiplayer one. But yeah, would highly recommend.
It was bad. I played like 250 hours of it.
I remember.
and,
I remember you tweeting about it.
It was really bad. It was really bad because I've done something like that before with Skyrim, but that was over the course of 3 months. That was over the course of 12 weeks. This was over the course of 6, so it was even more compressed. And I wasn't doing anything. It's destroyed our content output entirely during that time.
Yeah.
It was horrible. But yeah, I also have played the first act co-op with others, and it's just so rewarding.
It is.
You know, the thing about the game is, so for anyone here that has not played the game, why won't people shut up about it? Well, there's a lot of things. Presentation is really high, and it's different. But
Yes.
I think one of the keys is recognized by, I think it was like one of the creators of Dragon Age. And he was like, look, why this works is because it goes against everything that you would think you'd want to do when you're making a game, which is when you make a game, you want to make it for everybody, and you want everybody to see everything. Whereas these guys did the scary thing and would put parts of their game that only like 1% of players would ever see. And that feels so much more rewarding when you know that you're seeing something that so few other people have seen.
Yes.
The same thing goes with like evil playthroughs, which unfortunately I don't think Baldur's Gate 3 actually unfortunately does well, but I don't think a lot of games do well. And one of the reasons because of that is because it's just a lesser experience, right? Like it's always the lesser experience, but it is still an experience, and that's why it feels good playing the good role in those games still, because you know
there's an alternative,
that other alternative that is legitimate and is not just like totally not there at all.
Did you ever play Divinity Original Sin 2?
No, but now I'm very much incentivized to, because I had such a good time with it.
I played through it. It's very different. The mechanics are very different from like a game.
I hear they're better. Because it's not weighed down by all the D&D like random chance stuff.
Yeah, I loved it. It places a lot of like emphasis on like creating surfaces and like interacting between characters, and like there's no class system. It's you basically, there's just all these different schools, and you basically every level up you pick one to go into, so you can go like up in warfare and up in subterfuge, I think is the stealth one, and basically every class is kind of like a caster, where if you go up in warfare you unlock warfare abilities like spinning in a circle with an axe or whatever, and so it makes the usual martial feel of like, you know, when you're using a martial weapon, it's like, okay, I can hit things 5 times in a row, but like I'm not able to do anything else. It gets rid of that because you can now charge across the field, knocking people into the air. You can take points in like magic without needing to be a spellcaster. I really liked it, and it's not as good from a story or a character perspective as Baldur's Gate 3. Like it doesn't have a lot of the very good, like, you know, the good mocap that you see.
That's also what I've heard. Yeah. So another thing, if maybe chat you don't know, is like everybody was mocap. Like every last NPC. Some of the NPCs have similar faces and similar setups, but they were all motion captured.
Yes.
There is something there where they're just not locked into animation.
It's just
really
it's
wild.
So it makes them feel alive, and so when you're in dialogue with them, it actually feels like you're talking to someone, which to me is the big difference between Baldur's Gate 3 and Divinity Original Sin 2, right? Is that DOS 2
or any RPG,
or,
you know, like
pretty much
how many RPGs have you played where you want to talk with everybody and you think you're having a good time talking with everybody and you don't remember a damn thing about what you talked about with them?
Yeah, because you're not talking to a person, you're talking to a quest giver, and you're like, okay, give me the quest and I'll be on my way, because you're not actually interested. Whereas with the mocap and the voice acting, they have actual mannerisms and personality, and you're like, okay, I get what this character is. The reason I brought up DOS 2 is because I think it's a very good comparison, because I think gameplay mechanics wise it is kind of on par with BG3. Maybe not so much
it's from the same studio, by the way. Chat.
Yeah.
So this is why it's like a 1-to-1.
It's the game they made beforehand. You can tell their experience with it. Not necessarily from an outside, like outside of combat thing. I think one thing Baldur's Gate 3 does very well is that there are so many out of combat options for everything. But in terms of like gameplay mechanics, I think DOS 2 is a good comparison. But it very much feels like a game. You know, like other RPGs where like you're playing it and it's like, okay, shut up, Tal, I'm going somewhere. Where it's like, I know I'm playing a video game. I feel like I'm playing a video game. I'm talking to an NPC because I want to game the NPC. I'm going to get my quests out of them. I'm going to dump my loot off and I'm going to leave, right? Whereas BG3 does a thing where like it kind of makes you sometimes forget you're playing a game, where like you're actually invested in the characters and you understand the story and you're like in the moment. Which I don't think you'd get with DOS2 because of that lack of mocap and that. It's just all around BG3 is like a once in a generation game, right? Whereas DOS2 is a very, very good game, but I don't think it's quite to that same level. Would still recommend it.
Yeah, because everyone's like, you know, oh man, CRPGs, they're here, dude. And it's like, I don't know about that. That's not what this is about. It's not.
Yeah. BG3 isn't successful because it's a CRPG. It's successful because it's very, very well made. Like, it is, I don't know, it is just such a weird,
which
rare
makes
gem.
the parts where it's not well made really stand out even more, actually, which is the funny things. The little bugs, the weird little interface things they do, the quality of life stuff they still have to update, I think. And there's a better version of this game. That's the crazy part. Like, and we may get that. This studio is always making like a definitive edition of every game they ever make. So we may have a better version of
I'm surprised we haven't got
Baldur's Gate 3 game come out later.
I think in Divinity, if I remember correctly, it had like a dungeon master mode where you could like one person could play the dungeon master and the four other, they could like design a dungeon and the characters and have the other characters run through it. So it was like a game to D&D with, but within, you know, a video game. And if they come out with that in BG3, I think it would be so, not just for like gameplay, but content creation would be so wild.
Everybody's waiting for them to like abuse this engine they've made, basically, and just like make a billion games out of it.
We're as close as I think we're probably ever going to get to like an actual D&D simulator, which is something that we've never really had, right? Of like here is a virtual world in which you can actively play through D&D, and you don't need someone who knows all the rules because the game knows all the rules, and you can just play through it.
I really knew nothing about D&D before really playing Baldur's Gate 3. I'd watched the more recent movie this year just before playing the game.
I heard good things.
Then I played the game, and then after I played the game, I rewatched the movie, and it was like even more rewarding, actually, because I was like, oh, I know what that means. I get that reference. I understand the setting more. Yeah, it's actually, I'd recommend it.
Merlino recommended the Pathfinder games. The Pathfinder games are also good, but again, they're another step down on that level of it feels like you're playing a game. Like BG3 to me is amazing because it's just so involved and immersive, and it feels like it's not as restricted by the usual boundaries of a video game, on that you genuinely can do a lot of the stuff that you might think you can do. DOS2 has that, but it doesn't drag you in as much with the mocap. And then Pathfinder games are very, very fun mechanically. They do feel like playing pen and paper Pathfinder, which is an alternative to D&D. And they do have some interesting mechanics, but they don't have, again, I played through Kingmaker. Genuinely, I don't think I could really tell you the backstory of any of the characters. None of them really left an impression on me. So, although to be fair, my first playthrough, because this is my first playthrough of BG3 with this multiplayer with Lopi, and Lopi is playing Dark Urge. So half the people we meet half the people we meet just die. Yeah. And just, it's quite funny actually. We've lost all the a lot of the companions because Lopi has just eaten them. Like, it's kind of funny. It's very lore accurate. Yeah, usually that's the same for our co-op. It's basically our bad playthrough. We're all bad, terrible, horrible villains, and obviously our main lead went with Dark Urge, Dirge, as they're known for. And it's fascinating because it's like, wait, this is actually who the story was actually supposed to be written for. Yes. The actual most narrative comes out of playing Dark Urge, was what we found out. Yeah, well, so, but I think it's meant to be like a redemption thing of you fighting off the dark influence and becoming whole again.
You can play it that way.
But Lopi just leans heavily into it and just keeps fucking murdering everyone.
Or not. Yeah.
Cherry's playing Dark Urge without having taken it. Yeah, that's Cherry. She's probably a little murder goblin. But yeah, it's really fun actually. I've been enjoying it, and I think I've never really done like collaborative co-op single player games with people before. Like I've played multiplayer games with them of like FPS, but I don't know. There's a lot of games now that I think I might go back to and try and rope some people into playing with me now that I have, a community to play with. Because there's a bunch of games now that I'm thinking on it that would probably be really fun to play with people. Which I guess it's
man,
what?
Been waiting on that Halo.
Yes, you and your cursed Halo that you've brought up every single stream for the past 15 million years.
I gave up mentioning it weeks ago.
You know, I have two people in my, both Tao and Ash, folks, have been bullying me. I don't know if you've ever played Cursed Halo. They've been bullying me to play this Cursed Halo, and it's 2-player, and I'm like, you do realize you could just do it together. Like, you both want to play the game, you just go off in a corner and do it. You don't need me. Why do you need me?
Because we would like to have a fun experience with a friend.
You're friends without me. What am I?
I literally played it with Mars yesterday.
Do I look like a VTuber to you? Do you need to? Well, you want me to say your name? You want to super chat? I'll read your name out, and you can brag about it. Your Oshi said your name.
Penumbral said my name, guys. Go to everyone at work, and they're like, "Who the fuck is Penumbral?"
I don't know how long you were wanting to go for, Faust. I know when I was on yours, it was about 2.5 hours. I don't know if you want to aim for about the same time. I don't know if you have plans because it's Thanksgiving or whatever.
Yeah, I guess we could start wrapping up. Not a problem. Yeah.
It's just you don't want to go for too long and run it. I think we've went from VTubers to anime to video games to Baldur's Gate to D&D, and now Tao has started putting on his high pitched voice. It's probably a good indication that time is running out.
No, I've just been. I haven't played Baldur's Gate, so I don't know what. I don't know.
Yeah, so what I'm gonna do is like, Faust, if you want to like plug anything, I mean your ats and your links are in the description, but if there's anything specific you want to like plug and tell them, and you know how to shill. You're a YouTuber, you know the game.
Yeah, I just say keep your eyes out for December. We do have news come up there. Again, we try to have a new episode every other day, so it usually turns out to be like 3 episodes a week if we're doing a good week. Once again, love talking about cool VTubers, and just want to, again, thank you for bringing me on. Thank you so much. Thank you for bringing me on, and thank you for bringing Lady on earlier, somehow, some way.
No worries. We
lovely
managed to wrangle her. Yeah. It was very entertaining to have both of you on. One day we'll succeed. We'll have the complete four-way. What's it? A 3-peat is 4. I don't know what a 4 is.
Excuse.
No, I was trying to think. You got a double, you got a 3-peat. I don't know what 4 is, but we'll have all 4 of you, and we'll complete the set. Just saying the thing, folks. You don't swear, do you? Is something I've noticed in your, like in your videos and whatnot.
Oh, in the videos, no, because monetization is so tricky with that stuff. I don't trust the rules they make up on that, so I. Usually just Yoshi it out. We have a Yoshi noise that we throw on a lot of that stuff normally, or we just cut it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wait, is this what leading into what I think it is?
Oh no. So there's a thing. I don't know how this started, folks. Right? I think it started. I can't remember. I think it was from Lopi, probably, as all things were.
No, this was from the beginning.
Where every episode we have our guest go penumbral fuck you, and we record it as a soundbite. But I wasn't sure because I don't know how you are with swearing. I didn't want to like pressure you into it. But chat.
You don't have to.
Yeah,
you can
you don't
say
have
something
to.
else. Just penumbral and some.
Not a...
Oh, I will happily say.
Okay, all right.
Penumbral.
Okay. Okay, everyone, be quiet. I'm turning the music off. We're getting the soundbite.
Penumbral fuck you.
Hey.
There we go. We got it. All right.
Thank you very much.
We have yet to miss it. I'm waiting to get someone in that's really, really wholesome and does not swear, and we're just gonna sit here and be like, do it, fucking do it.
Here's where they go off on like a massive just we have to censor it because it's like, oh, Jesus.
Yeah. Okay. Well, there we go. We've completed everything we needed to today. It was really fun having you on, folks. Thanks for coming.
Thanks everybody for joining us. To the Americans in the crowd, I know is a wild holiday. Thanks for taking some of your time on the holiday with us. For everyone else, I'm sorry you're not American. Sorry.
Oh wow.
I'm so sorry you're British.
Everyone, we now will be starting to use the Oshi Talk Twitter, which is linked below. We'll be saying guests when new episodes are coming out, everything like that. So if you want to go follow that, I won't use it to spam you, so don't worry. Also, any episode of the podcast goes on our Spotify if you want to listen on it. There. It's our podcast. Shut up.
We are going to use the Twitter. He means he's going to use the Twitter. I barely use my own Twitter.
You have the access to it. You can use it if you want.
You think I'm touching that thing?
Yeah, exactly. Shut
Anyway,
up.
we won't keep
But yeah,
False any
go
longer. We
follow
won't
it.
keep you guys any longer.
Yes.
I didn't set up a redirect, but we could go. Hang on, who the hell is live?
Bye, guys.
We could redirect.
Is
I'm
anyone live?
gonna have a quick look.
Anyone in chat know if anyone's live?
Amora's live. If you wanna.
Oshi Talk is going to be on Amazon as soon as No, it already is Amazon as well. Deezer, Amazon, and Spotify.
Yeah, Amora from AN is live. We'll go into Amora. She's playing City Skylines. Have fun with that.
Yeah, go for it.
And
Also, go watch my Zoomy Dokumi
oh my
video.
god, yes, bro, Tal, we can't shill for 10 minutes at the end. Our guest shills, you shill, and then I have to set up the redirect. This is the slowest ending to a stream that has ever been fucking
Filling
recorded.
dead air while you're
False is
pissing
going
about
to
with
fall
redirect.
asleep mid-stream.
Yeah.
Right, I'll see you guys later. Bye.
Bye.